Chapter 1045. The Julu City incident likely involved an abyss walker, even if one ignored everything else. Just the value of this information was enough for Old Fox to unhesitatingly activate all of the Thousand-Eyed Temple's hidden forces in the city. Of course, there was no time to ask headquarters, so he could only act first and report later. But even if he didn't obtain anything in the end, there was a good reason for this, and at most he would be punished. If he could really find this abyss walker, it would likely represent an unimaginable lucky chance. How to choose was self-evident to Old Fox, who had been through a lot of battles for a long time and was a wise old ghost. Ever since the Thousand-Eyed Temple had entered Julu City, no one knew just how many spies they had placed in the city. Now that they were all activated, an astonishing amount of energy erupted. 2 hours later, under the premise of not alerting the other influences in Julu City, 2 magic crystal cards were placed in front of Old Fox. One of the magic crystal cards recorded information about the self-proclaimed number 1 Abyss Demon Refiner. Obtaining it was easier than expected. This was because when this potion had been traded, there had been a transaction voucher left behind. Moreover, the rabbit girl who handled this matter still had an impression of the seller. The fox girl's complexion paled. Although her voice was calm, it gave off a faint feeling. "We've already investigated. The one who sold this potion was Lu Hua." Old Fox sighed. He rubbed his temples, a bitter taste in his mouth. He had been cautious his entire life and had never made any major mistakes. This was how he had obtained his current status as a steward of a branch of the Thousand-Eyed Temple. As he grew old, he had actually made such a grave mistake. Although he didn't know whether or not this potion had been refined by Lu Hua, according to the fox girl, he had purchased the corresponding materials. Then, this batch of potion was definitely related to him. There were 2 possibilities. Either Lu Hua was a person who had hidden himself from everyone, including the Thousand-Eyed Temple, or there was an extremely powerful abyss walker standing behind him. But no matter which possibility it was, Lu Hua was worth it. The Thousand-Eyed Temple had tried to win him over with the greatest sincerity, and the mistake he had made was that he had missed the best chance to establish a relationship with Lu Hua. In fact, because of their previous contact, there had even been a slight barrier between the two. If Lu Hua was really just Lu Hua, then a barrier was a barrier, even if it was several times stronger. As a steward of the Thousand-Eyed Temple, there was no need for him to care. But the key point was that Lu Hua was not just Lu Hua. This was very uncomfortable. If he wanted to salvage the situation and reverse the impression he had of them in Flowing Fire's heart, he would have to expend a great deal of effort. But everything could only be concluded after trying. No matter what, just these discoveries were enough for the Thousand-Eyed Palace to rope in the Lu Hua at all costs. Old Fox's gaze fell on the other magic crystal card. It contained information about the black demon bull races, Nyo Dachui. There was a lot of information, but he hadn't found anything useful. Vaguely, Old Fox felt that something very crucial was missing. If it was possible to connect Big Mountain with Nyo Dachui, then Lu Hua's influence would be even more important than it was now. Elder Fox had to clearly judge Lu Hua's true value before he could show the corresponding attitude and sincerity. Therefore, he was waiting for the final news. "My name is Big Hammer Nyo, and I'm still Big Copper Hammer, Big Iron Hammer, and Big Steel Hammer. That's right, I'm on camera again. But this time, my image isn't too glorious. This is because I'm tied up and blindfolded. I don't know what I've been fed, but my entire body is limp and I can't use any strength. My black demon bull race's bloodline tells me that the situation is very bad. If I don't cooperate, I'll most likely be finished." It wasn't easy for me to awaken the black demon bull race's bloodline that has been passed down from my ancestors. I didn't even get to marry the 8 beautiful ladies, but they died just like that. It's really hard to accept. Furthermore, my dead father might even push open his coffin and jump out to grab me and beat me up. Speaking of my father, other than what he told me previously, there was one more thing he said. It's necessary for a man to be unyielding, but when it's time to be a coward, you must be quick. I feel that it's time to be a coward now. Therefore, after I woke up from my coma and made this judgment, I immediately shouted at the top of my lungs, "You can know anything you want, but please don't hurt me." After that, I said nothing. My name is Big Hammer Nyo, and I've already said it many times. I can tell you anything you want to know, but really, please don't hurt me. After the fox girl left for a short while, she returned with another magic crystal card. Old Fox said in a low voice, "He said everything?" Yes, we asked him many times, and there were no obvious mistakes. He shouldn't be lying. Old Fox took the magic crystal card and flipped through it for a long time before slowly closing his eyes. "I remember that you once ordered people to secretly investigate Lu Hua's information. You should know where he lives." The fox girl's body trembled. "Yes, Lu Hua's residence in the city is at Lanshan Avenue." Big Hammer Nyo said that before he fainted, he was also at Lanshan Avenue, right? "That's right." Old Fox quickly panted a few times, a tinge of red appearing on his face. He used his hand to knock on the armrest of the chair, and suddenly said, "I need you to investigate what happened after Lu Hua left the Thousand Eye Palace Hall for the second time." A hoarse voice came from the shadow under his feet. "Yes, Lord Manager." The shadow wriggled and rolled like boiling water. After a few breaths, it calmed down. The room fell deathly silent. As the fox girl thought of a possibility, she felt her breath quicken, and she even felt dizzy and suffocated. Lu Hua. Although there was no conclusive evidence, it seemed that all of these matters were inextricably linked to him. Could it really be him? Her mind was in a trance. After an unknown period of time, the fox girl was suddenly awakened by a hoarse voice from within the room. "Reporting to Lord Manager, after Chinyu left that day, he was chased into Merry Forest. Afterwards, he left alone to hunt down the demons and disappeared." Old Fox sucked in a deep breath. "What is the specific situation?" "I have yet to find out. But after that day, a great number of people disappeared from Merry Forest. That person's subordinates, Black Edge and Firefly Wind, also vanished without a trace. It seems that some great event occurred that day." After a brief pause, the hoarse voice continued, "I have activated the spies hidden in Merry Forest. That person seems to have personally acted on that day." Schwa. Old Fox fiercely stood up. He closed his eyes and connected all of this information together in his mind. His body began to shiver. That's right. Lu Hua. What a good Lu Hua. Did he obtain an inheritance, or did he have some other lucky chance? If it weren't for the eruption of the beast tide and him entering Giant Deer City, perhaps no one would have discovered the secret hidden on his body. Abyssal Walk. Who would have thought that such an astonishing identity was hidden beneath the surface? That's right. Through the information he had obtained so far, Old Fox was able to determine that there was no figure behind Lu Hua that supported the heavens. This was because he himself was that incomparably powerful first abyssal. But why? As an abyssal walk, even if he faced the tyrannical and cruel demon dragon race, he would still receive the highest level of courtesy. As long as he revealed his identity, he could rampage through the abyss as if it were flat land without fear. But ever since he met Lu Hua, his actions and actions clearly didn't match up. And what was even more inconceivable was that he had actually helped Nyo, Dachui, and Mountain, 2 low-level abyssal demons, stimulate their bloodline. It had to be known that even for the powerful and noble abyssal walks, if they wanted to refine a potion that could stimulate their bloodline, they would need to use up countless precious treasures. Ordinary members of the royal family didn't have enough wealth to invite them to help. There was a problem. There was definitely a problem here. Old Fox racked his brains. He believed that only by understanding this point could he truly establish a relationship with a strange abyssal walk. The fox girl glanced at the gloomy and uncertain Old Fox. She hesitated for a moment and then said in a soft voice, Uncle, perhaps Sir Lu Hua is currently changing his identity to live and accumulating different experiences in order to increase his strength. Old Fox's hand shook and he pulled out a few strands of his beard. His face twitched in pain, but he didn't care about that right now. His eyes brightened. Changing his identity to live, accumulating experiences to increase one's own strength was simply childish. But this wasn't an impossible matter. If there was a ranking list of the number of years one had lived in the abyss, then the majority of the spots would be occupied by demon refiners. They had all sorts of strange methods that could allow them to live for an incomparably long time, even to the point where they would decay along with the abyss. At the very least, Old Fox knew of an example. When a veteran demon refiner didn't have much time left in his life, he had paid an unknown price to complete a bloodline sharing with a demon dragon elder. Their lives were one, and as long as the demon elder didn't die, he could continue living. And the demon dragon race was the undisputed, favored child of the abyss. Every adult demon dragon would automatically obtain the recognition of the abyss and become a powerful existence comparable to the Abyss King. Their lifespan was endless. It was said that even if they were killed, as long as their dragon soul wasn't extinguished, they could be reborn from the abyss. This was an existence that stood at the top of the food chain, almost immortal and indestructible. It had to be known that the Abyssal Walks were the strongest batch of demon refiners. Their methods of prolonging their lifespan were naturally stronger. For example, if there really was an Abyssal Walk who was willing to share his bloodline with the demon dragon race, there would definitely be a large number of abyssal demon dragons fighting to the death. There was no helping it. This was the incomparably formidable strength of the Abyssal Walks. Even the demon dragon race had to lower their noble heads several times before. The reason why this was mentioned was because almost every Abyssal Walk, unless an accident occurred, would live for an incomparably long period of time. And this was where the problem appeared. All living beings in the world, besides a small number of reincarnated experts that had a lifespan equal to the heavens, most began to fear and struggle against death from the moment they were born. But as they bitterly struggled to live longer, there were also some people that had shaken their sense of self because they had lived for so long. To put it simply, they were tired of living. Their hearts were incomparably tired, empty, and they felt like they couldn't lift their spirits towards anything. The general symptoms were similar to those of severe depression. Even though they knew that death was a wrong choice, they would still slowly slide into the abyss of destruction. As the steward of a 1,000-eye hall branch, Old Fox had lived for a very long time. Although he hadn't lived to the point where he didn't want to live any longer, he still knew many of these secrets. Thus, some existences with ancient lifespans would actively change when they sensed that their condition wasn't right. They would try their best to rekindle their interest in life and not fall into self-destruction. Changing their identity, or even changing their form, and banishing themselves into the abyss was one of the most effective methods. Was it possible that Lu Hua was in such a state? The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Old Fox vaguely felt that he had grasped the crux of the matter. This crux was whether or not the 1,000-eye hall could establish a truly stable relationship with him. Since Lu Hua wanted to experience a new life so that he wouldn't be tired of living, then reminding him of his identity was clearly a mistake. That's right, that was it. If he wanted to be on good terms with him, he had to pretend to be ignorant and not reveal the truth. Otherwise, if they were to disrupt Lu Hua's experience of life, the Julu City branch, including all of them, would be smashed into smithereens, not to mention forming a good relationship. Old Fox rejoiced in his heart. Luckily, he had noticed this. Otherwise, if he had hurriedly rushed over to express his fear after discovering Lu Hua's identity, he would already be dead. He looked at the fox girl and nodded slightly to express his appreciation. What you said is very reasonable. Remember, unless His Excellency Lu Hua takes the initiative to reveal his identity, otherwise our 1,000-eye palace hall will have to be mute and not know anything. Do you understand this logic? The fox girl hurriedly bowed. Don't worry, uncle. Your niece will remember this. She looked at Old Fox, her mouth moving as if she wanted to say something. Of course I understand your intentions. It's a pity that you have already missed the best opportunity. If you had thought of a way to climb into Lord Lu Hua's bed, not only for you, but for my Tushan Fox clan, it would have been a great opportunity. Old Fox took a deep breath. All right, we will think of a way to resolve this matter in the future. The most important thing now is to re-establish contact with Lu Hua, for example. Let him become the most important guest of our Thousand Eye Hall branch in Jilu City. The Fox girl's eyes widened. Uncle, you want to hide Lu Hua's existence, How are you going to explain this to headquarters? Humph! Even if some people are dissatisfied, they will have to wait until the beast tide ends before they have a chance to make things difficult for me. A sharp light flashed in Old Fox's eyes. Moreover, I won't always hide Lu Hua's identity. I just want to seize an early opportunity. At the very least, I want to become an indispensable intermediary between Lu Hua and Thousand Eye Hall. After discovering that Lu Hua was likely to be a powerful abyssal walker who had hidden his identity and exiled himself to the abyss, Old Fox's thoughts raced, and he came up with this idea. Once this was smoothly accomplished, his status in Thousand Eye Hall would rise, and he would become an important member. It wouldn't be difficult for him to obtain the position of Vice Hall Master. The Fox girl quickly thought this through. Old Fox was her blood relative. The higher his status was, the more she would benefit. She respectfully bowed. Uncle is truly thoughtful. Old Fox took a deep breath. Since Lu Hua doesn't want to be disturbed, then we must carefully plan our next actions. All right, let's hurry and find Lu Hua. Our Thousand Eye Hall is about to hold an internal discount banquet to thank our esteemed guest. We must invite him to attend. The Fox girl respectfully bowed. I will immediately do so. Qin Yu certainly didn't know that in order to find a reasonable opportunity to contact him, some people had already used their ultimate move, not hesitating to lose a massive amount of demon crystals. Otherwise, he wouldn't have felt such a headache over the few demon crystals he had on hand. Liao Shi's potions were smoothly sold off once more. This left Qin Yu speechless at the abyssal demon race's so-called inspection methods. He thought to himself, with this level of skill, how did they manage to do business until today? He couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out at all. But if he couldn't figure it out, then he wouldn't bother thinking about it. In any case, he wasn't the one eating the potions, so any trouble that arose after they were sold off had nothing to do with him. What Qin Yu had a headache about now was how to use the demon crystals he obtained from selling the potions to buy the things that Liao Shi needed. As the beast horde's attacks on Jilu City grew fiercer, the prices of all kinds of potions in the city skyrocketed. Although they were all ordinary healing potions, because of the scarcity of the market, the selling price was much higher than the Thousand Eye Temples. But what was helpless was that Liao Shi said she was no longer suitable to refine such low-level potions. As the future's strongest demon refiner in the abyss, her future path was the Sea of Stars. To sum it up, she wanted Qin Yu to buy higher quality materials to refine stronger potions. As the price of potions soared, the prices of all sorts of refining materials also soared, much less the high-quality materials that she wanted. When Qin Yu asked about the price, his complexion darkened. With the amount of demon crystals he had on hand, it was impossible to gather the required amount, and the gap wasn't small at all. As he stood outside the store filled with people, Qin Yu rubbed his chin, considering the possibility of forcefully buying and selling. Behind a window on the second floor of the store, an abyssal demon inadvertently glanced over. As the abyssal demon saw his appearance, his body shivered and his face paled. Chapter 1046. Mary Forest had a notorious reputation. Other than the demons who had nowhere else to go, or those who were already evil to begin with, no one would be willing to live here. This also led to the fact that there were many soldiers in Mary Forest, but most of them did not produce anything. To put it simply, most of them were poor. If they purely relied on these poor people in the controlled area to obtain magic crystals and resources, Mary Forest would have long collapsed, not to mention distributing resources to their subordinates and leading the troops. Therefore, outside of the Mary Forest area, they actually had many businesses. If they calculated carefully, it was definitely a huge source of income. Flying Pigeon was a hybrid of the black crow and demon dove race. His bloodline was not strong, and his strength was only average. However, he had inherited the cunning of the black crow race and the calm wisdom of the demon dove race. Coupled with his diligence, he was finally valued by Black Edge and appointed to manage 7 to 8 shops of various sizes in Julu City. Recently, because of the beast horde outbreak, the prices of resources in the city had skyrocketed. Flying Pigeon had to patrol every day to adjust the prices in time to ensure the greatest profits. After carefully calculating the profits of the shop, even though he was already mentally prepared, the profit figures still made his heart beat faster. His grin almost reached the back of his ears. Regardless of the reason, the high profits were his credit. Lord Black Edge was fair, so naturally he would not be lacking in rewards. Once he was happy, he felt his heart burning. In addition, not long ago, he had hooked up with the female owner of this shop, a woman from the Black Swan race with a charming voice. As for how Flying Pigeon knew that this woman's voice was charming, that was another rather intense and erotic story that would not be elaborated here. In short, Flying Pigeon's interest was piqued. He called the female owner over, scanned the room, and had her lie by the window with her back facing him. It took a long time to describe, but just as Flying Pigeon was about to raise his spear and fight, his gaze suddenly passed through the half-closed curtains and saw a person standing at the entrance of the shop. His whole body shivered, and the Vajra silver spear turned into a slug in the blink of an eye. He only felt a chill in his crotch, and his whole body turned numb. Although he had only caught a glimpse of her from afar that day, Fei Gu had a deep impression of this face. He would never forget it. Miss Ing Feng, who was known for her beauty and viciousness, was someone who would cause people's expressions to change at the mere mention of her name in Mary Forest. To think that she would end up in such a sorry state. She had completely lost her image and was lying on the ground eating dirt, crying and laughing one moment and completely oblivious to everything that had happened. Lord Black Edge, whom he had always viewed as his role model and idol, had a deathly pale face, not daring to move at all. This was the first time Fei Ying had seen Lord Black Edge in such a state of fear. Later, it was said that his lord had personally made a move to force that person to retreat. Otherwise, who knew what would have happened in the end? How could Fei go forget such a person? Instead, he was trying his best to remember it. In the future, he would definitely keep his eyes wide open. If he were to meet him, he would definitely not court death. He was cautious and thoughtful. Of course, that was a good quality. But Fei Ying had never thought that she would actually meet him. And now he was standing outside the shop he managed with a pensive expression and uncertain eyes. What was he going to do? Just as his mind was trembling, the Qinyu in Fei Ying's eyes suddenly looked up. Their gazes met in midair. Fei Ying staggered and almost fell to the ground. Then his ears buzzed and his vision turned black. It's over, it's over. He found me. What should I do? Fei Ying usually thought that his brain was smart and intelligent, but now it was as if his entire body had fallen into an ice cave and he was sinking. Brother Fei, what's wrong? The Black Swan witch, who had been waiting for a long time, turned her head in fright. She hurriedly put down her skirt and grabbed him, shaking him. I'm fine. Fei Ying snapped out of his daze and suddenly jumped 3 feet high. He turned his head and rushed out anxiously. Squeezing through the crowd, Fei Ying rushed out of the shop under the shocked gazes of a large number of demons. He stopped far away and bowed respectfully to Qinyu. Panting, he said, I didn't know you were coming. Please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. Fei Ji's heart was thumping. She felt like she was dancing on the tip of a knife at this moment. There were tens of thousands of shops in the huge Julu city. There was only one shop that belonged to Mary Forest on this entire street. Did you think it was a coincidence that Qin happened to appear here? Fei Ying did not dare to guess the other party's purpose today, but he felt that if he still dared to act ignorant now that he had seen the other party, his life would be over. No matter what, he quickly lowered his head and called him boss. This was a person who could even toy with missing Feng, a person who terrified Lord Blackedge, other than his lord, who would dare to disrespect him. Qin frowned slightly. He really did not have any impression of the person in front of him. Fei Ying was observant. How could he not know that a small character like him would not be remembered by the boss? He quickly said, "A few days ago, my lord entered Merry Forest. I followed Lord Blackedge to work and saw my lord from afar." Qin glanced at Fei Ying's pale face. His thoughts turned, and he guessed what he was thinking. Someone from Merry Forest? This was a coincidence. If his luck was good, he might be able to avoid a lot of trouble in the future. Coughing lightly, Qin said, "I came today to buy some materials." He took out a magic crystal card. "The list is here. Take a look and see if it's here." Fei Ying took it with both hands and probed it with his divine sense. His body couldn't help but tremble. He was even more certain of his thoughts. This person was really here to cause trouble. The only good news was that it seemed he had left some leeway. As long as he gave them the materials, it would be fine. He didn't directly attack them. Fei Ying's face was pale, and sweat dripped down his forehead like rain. He lifted a hand to wipe it and said in a trembling voice, "Everything is here. My lord, please enter and wait a moment. I will prepare it for you as soon as possible." Qin Yu's eyes brightened. The magic crystal card he took out was the big list that Liao Shi had carefully prepared after a long time of nagging. There were so many items marked on it that just looking at it made one dizzy. Compared to the items on the small list that he wanted to buy on this trip, it was at least 70,000 to 80,000 miles away. Even this was here? Ha! It seemed that he had underestimated the financial resources of Merry Forest. When it came to extortion, no matter how big or small, one would offend someone. Since he had offended someone, he might as well offend them to the end. Once he did this, he would have all the materials that Liao Shi needed for a long time in the future. This was an incomparably important point. Qin, you didn't want to be constantly tormented by her on this trip. As for being hated, Lu Hu had long since died. Once he changed his identity, he could find whoever he wanted. He nodded and followed behind Fei Ying. Qin Yu strode into the shop. Then, under the awestruck gazes of the crowd, he was brought to a quiet room where he enjoyed the service of two trembling rabbit girls. The true leader of the shop came from Merry Forest. This was no secret to them, and because of this, very few people dared to bully them. For this reason, the two rabbit girls were immensely pleased with themselves. They rejoiced that they were able to rely on the great tree that was Merry Forest. But today they had truly experienced what it meant to say that there was always a higher mountain. The normally mighty brother Fei was like a coward today. He bowed so low that it seemed as if he would break at any moment. For brother Fei, who came from Merry Forest and was said to have some status, to have such a humble attitude, just what sort of status did the person in front of them have? Just thinking about it left them breathless. Qin Yu drank his tea and ate some unknown pastries. Perhaps it was because his current state was that of a demon from the abyss, but he actually felt that the taste was pretty good. As for Fei Ying, who had used the excuse of preparing some items to leave, Qin Yu knew that he must be busy contacting Merry Forest, so he didn't stop him. The items that Liao Shi had listed on the big list were obviously of great value. In addition to the astonishing quantity, it was definitely not something that a small shop like this could gather. If he wanted to obtain it, he would need the approval of the demon commander of Merry Forest. Naturally, he would have to send a message. As for whether the demon commander would agree, Qin Yu felt that there was a 50% chance of this. Although he was extorting them, Merry Forest was at a disadvantage first. And before this, he had released Feng and Blackedge. No matter what, the demon commander would have to give him some face. Moreover, if the two really fought, it was hard to say who would win. After thinking about it a few times, Qin Yu felt that the possibility of Mary Forrest falling out with him was not high. At most, they would give him some discounts. But that was fine. Even if they gave him 10% of the items on the big list, it would still be a great profit. In fact, Qin Yu's guess was right. After Fei Ying left the quiet room, he didn't even dare to wipe the sweat off his face as he hurriedly contacted Lord Black Edge. And then there was nothing. After the message was sent, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. There was no response at all. What was going on? Was he going to give him the items or fall out? At least give him a response. Or could it be that this shop, including him, had been abandoned? If that was the case, Fei Ying felt that no matter what, he wouldn't be able to live past today. Of course, no response was impossible. After receiving Fei Ying's message, Black Edge, who had been calming down for a long time, jumped up. His face turned green and white. Lu Hua, it was that person. He had come looking for him. Damn it, every debt has a debtor. Even if he really wanted to cause trouble, he should be looking for Ying Feng's bad luck. Why would he look for him? But this question clearly had no answer. After circling a few times, Black Edge turned and left. He had no choice. Now that Lu Hua was involved, this matter was no longer something he had the right to deal with. He had to let his lord decide. Just as Black Edge was hurrying to the depths of Mary Forest to report, the Thousand Eye Palace finally locked onto Qin Yu's whereabouts. They discovered that Lu Hua was not at his residence. Instead, he had gone to a small, unknown shop. After further investigation, they discovered that this small shop actually had the backing of Mary Forest. This meant that they had to be a little more cautious. As the saying goes, a powerful dragon cannot suppress a snake in its own territory. Moreover, the one in Mary Forest, although not a flood dragon, was still a giant python that could overturn rivers and seas. This discovery made Old Fox rather hesitant, but the news that came immediately after made him pant heavily, because Qin Yu had gone to this shop and actually sold another bottle of healing potion. It was still of normal quality. Who the hell knew how they had appraised it to be normal quality? After this matter was over, the appraisal department must be completely changed. A bunch of idiots. Investigate, continue investigating. Old Fox took a few deep breaths and warned himself not to be rash. Selling the potion was nothing. He had plenty of ways to get his hands on this bottle of potion. If he acted rashly, he might accidentally let others notice Lu Hua. That would be really troublesome. Following that, there was a steady stream of news. Lu Hua was respectfully invited into the shop. He entered a quiet room and no one was allowed to approach. There were strange movements in Mary Forest. After Blacklight requested to see that person, there were signs of large amounts of resources being moved. There was already concrete evidence that Mary Forest was preparing a large amount of precious materials. Their current purpose was unknown. Line by line, Old Fox's eyes were turning red. The last shred of hope in his heart had completely disappeared. Mary Forest, that old dog with an amazing sense of smell, had definitely sensed something. It seemed that they were not the only ones who had locked onto Lu Hua. He had originally thought that after grasping a secret that no one knew, he could play a good game of chess and obtain the greatest benefits. But in the blink of an eye, let alone playing chess, even the chessboard had almost been taken away. Damned old dog, you have gone too far. I, Hu Hua, will not let this matter rest. Let's go and pay a visit to Lu Hua. As a distinguished guest of the Thousand Eye Palace, no matter what materials you need, my Thousand Eye Palace will be able to provide it. He could not wait any longer, otherwise this first place would be snatched away by Mary Forest. At this moment, Old Fox's face was ashen, his eyes flashing with a terrifying light. Blacklight knelt on the ground, his back already soaked in cold sweat. Such a long period of silence was definitely proportional to the anger in his lord's heart. But he understood that his lord would not easily make a move. That day he had not done anything and had allowed Lu Hua to leave safely. Just this point alone was enough to explain many things. Just as Black Light felt that the air was becoming more and more viscous, and even breathing was becoming increasingly difficult, the cold voice of his lord finally sounded from above his head. Black Light, go on my behalf and tell Lu Hua his conditions. Mary Forrest has agreed. But you must let him remember that this is the first and last time. Otherwise, he will not want to see the consequences. His lord had endured, although he had already expected this. But when he heard the real order, Black Light could not help but feel a sense of emptiness in his heart. Even his lord was so afraid of him. Indeed, Lu Hua was a demon commander, but no matter how he searched through his memories, he could not find any impression of this person. Could it be that he had descended from another abyss? A demon commander was the strongest person below the king of the abyss. He had already stood at the peak that countless abyss demons did not dare to imagine. Such a person could release endless power with just a wave of his hand. No matter which king of the abyss they relied on, they would obtain a large piece of land and become the ruler of a territory, controlling the life and death of millions of abyss demons. But such a person, an absolute important person in the abyss, had actually done such a vile thing as coming to extort money. It was a complete disgrace. If he had not experienced it himself, Black Light would not have imagined it. Yes, his lord. Taking a deep breath, he bowed respectfully and stood up from the ground. Glancing at the tall figure of his lord behind the black curtain, Black Light sighed in his heart. Although he also felt that his lord's decision was the wisest. Today's matter involved many precious materials, so it was impossible to keep it a secret. If news of this were to spread, Mary Forrest would become the target of ridicule. Chapter 1047. Fei Gu, who was in despair, finally received a reply from Mary Forrest. He let out a long sigh and regained his composure. Only then did he realize that he was drenched in cold sweat, as if he had just been fished out of the water. It was good that he had agreed. It was good that he had agreed. If his lord had a falling out with Lu Hua, no one knew what the final outcome would be, but he would definitely be torn to shreds at the first moment. After hurriedly tidying up and changing his clothes, Fei Gu knocked on the door of the quiet room. When there was a sound from inside, he respectfully pushed the door open and entered. My lord, the things you want are currently being prepared. Lord Black Edge will personally come here to deliver them to you. To be honest, this result was indeed somewhat out of Qin Yu's expectations. He had played a game of extortion and had completely opened his mouth. He had never thought that he would be able to obtain everything. In his heart, Qin Yu had left room for Mary Forrest to bargain. To be able to give 30 to 40% in the end was already very good to him. But now they had given everything without any discount. Was it because Mary Forrest had a deep background and did not care about this? Or was there some other reason? No matter how he looked at it, the latter was more likely. But no matter what, this was an unexpected surprise. A smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. Seeing his smiling face, Fei Ji's heart finally settled back into his stomach. If nothing went wrong, he had passed this hurdle. Only now did he have the mood to think about the things listed in the magic crystal card. His heart twitched a few times. After being extorted like this, all the profits that Mary Forrest had generated during the beast tide would probably have to be used up, and it might not even be enough. Black Edge finally arrived and chased everyone out. Only he and Qin Yu were left in the quiet room. With a solemn expression, he placed a magic leather bag on the table. Lord Lu Hua, Mary Forrest, has agreed to all of your requests. All the materials are inside. Please accept it. Qin Yu glanced at the magic leather bag. No need. I believe in your sincerity. Black Edge's mouth twitched. He thought to himself, I really don't want your trust. But such thoughts were just thoughts. He did not dare to express them. Instead, he had to express his gratitude to Qin Yu for his trust. Taking a deep breath, Black Edge continued. In addition, my lord has a message for me to pass to Lord Lu Hua. I hope this matter. Just then, the door to the quiet room was suddenly pushed open. Black Edge's voice stopped abruptly, but when he saw the person who had barged in, his expression changed again. He subconsciously stood up and said, "Old Fox, why are you here?" The steward of the Thousand-Eye Temple, the true leader of the giant Deer City branch, was naturally one of the most powerful people in this territory. Moreover, Black Edge vaguely knew that the Lord and this old fox seemed to have known each other for a long time. Their relationship was not good, but they were not true opponents. Instead, there was a subtle tacit understanding in some matters. Of course, he did not dare to be careless in front of Elder Fox, and his tone was filled with respect. Unexpectedly, when faced with Blacklight's question, Elder Fox only glanced at him and completely ignored him. He strode over with a smile on his face. "Mr. Lu Hua, we were previously busy with work and neglected you. This is all the fault of the Thousand-Eye Palace Hall. Please do not take it to heart and give us another chance to prove ourselves." As he spoke, his gaze swept across the magic leather bag on the table. His smile grew. "To show our sincerity, no matter what Mr. Lu Hua needs, the Thousand-Eye Temple is willing to sell it the lowest price and guarantee the best quality. I believe that no one in Giant Deer City can compare to the Thousand-Eye Temple." What was going on? Blacklight was dumbfounded, his heart sluggish. Now that he had brought the item, he hadn't even passed on his master's message. He couldn't allow the people from the Thousand-Eye Hall to ruin his plans. He squeezed out a smile. "Elder Hu, is there a misunderstanding? Our Merry Forest and Lord Lu Hua have a special relationship, so the items in the magic leather bag will be given to you for free to show our sincerity. We have no intention of competing with the Thousand-Eye Temple for business." "Free gift?" The corners of Elder Hu's mouth twitched. He cursed inwardly. "You damn dog, to think you would even do such a thing." As expected, this old thing had definitely grasped the truth. Otherwise, he would not have put in so much effort. Although he did not know how many items were in the magic leather bag, from the information that Elder Hu had, it was definitely a massive amount of demon crystals. "Why did you give it to others just like that? In all these years, why have I not seen you give it to others?" He coldly glared at Black Edge. "Little brat, you still dare to talk about competing for business? Yes, you do not compete with us for business. What you want is my good fortune and future. I, Old Hu, will not let this matter rest. Mr. Lu Hua, Merry Forest has a terrible reputation. It is a vicious place that no one dares to approach. If you cooperate with them, it will affect your reputation. The Thousand-Eye Temple is willing to pay double the price of the items in Merry Forest in exchange for your understanding and friendship to continue working with us." Elder Hu glanced behind him. "What are you waiting for? Show us our sincerity, and then invite Mr. Lu Hua to leave." The fox girl respectfully bowed, holding the magic leather bag with both hands. "Sir, I was negligent before. I am willing to accept any punishment you give me. Please give me a chance to make up for it. Otherwise, the manager will definitely pursue this matter, and I fear that I will not be able to live." There were tears in her eyes, and her voice choked with emotion. Such a delicate beauty begging for forgiveness in such a soft and gentle manner was indeed very touching. But who could tell Black Edge what the F***CK was going on in front of them? Why was it so difficult for the Merry Forest to draw a line between us and Lu Hua and have nothing to do with us in the future? What did you people from the Thousand-Eye Temple want to do? His lord had already made the greatest concession by patiently handing over the treasures. If he could not even handle such a small matter, his lord would definitely be disappointed in him. Clenching his teeth, Black Edge's voice deepened. "Elder Hu, this is my Merry Forest territory. I hope that you can leave for a while. After Lord Lu Hua leaves, we will not interfere with how you interact with him." "Humph!" Elder Hu sneered. "Little brat, your wings have hardened after a few years. You dare to speak to me like this?" Black Edge's face flushed red. You were the one who was rude and unreasonable first. I was rude and unreasonable. What do you want? Hurry up and scram. You have no right to challenge me. Elder, who waved his hand, his eyes filled with disdain. At this moment, a calm voice sounded in everyone's ears. Old fox, you dare to cause trouble in my territory. You are quite bold. Black Edge's eyes brightened. He hurriedly bowed. Greetings to my lord. Rise. The black-clothed, middle-aged demon had a calm expression. His appearance was exactly the same as a human's. If this was not the abyss, it would be impossible to recognize his identity. In other words, this person was a member of the abyss royal family. It was just that it was unknown which race he came from. He stepped forward and cupped his hands. Mr. Luhua, today is the second time we have met. I hope that you can fulfill your agreement with my merry forest. Elder, whose face twisted, he blurted out, Don't even think about it. He viciously glared at He Tiangang. Hey, Tiangang, I warn you, do not forget that I am still holding on to your little tail. If you really provoke me, I will make sure you suffer the consequences. The true master of Merry Forest, the calm black-robed He Tiangang, only glanced at him. If I am unlucky, you won't have an easy time either. Elder, whose entire body shivered. But at this moment, a large part of his appearance was a deliberate act. It could be considered a method to numb his opponent. Elder, who was truly enraged. But in truth, his thoughts were still clear, and his mind was rapidly spinning. Today, he had suddenly come here. Even though he had covered his tracks, he still couldn't completely conceal himself from the eyes of those outside. Not to mention that this old dog had also arrived. In this world, there was never a lack of intelligent people. Elder, who did not believe that the clues he could find could not be found by others. If this matter attracted too much attention and extended to Sir Luhua, then there was a high possibility that his secrets would be exposed. Not to mention, if this really happened, would it anger Sir Luhua and cause all of them to suffer his wrath. At the very least, all his plans would be for naught. He would even have to suffer severe punishment from the headquarters of the Thousand-Eye Palace. After all, no one was a fool. Through his current actions, coupled with his previous concealment, they could easily guess his plans. Originally, this was a great situation where they could obtain countless benefits. But because of the appearance of the Merry Forest, this shit-stirrer, they had completely lost control and began to slide into an unknown abyss. That damned old black dog, he is indeed my nemesis. Nothing good will come out of meeting him. He could not continue like this. He had to think of a way to get things back on track as soon as possible. Perhaps he could only cooperate. Taking a deep breath, Elder, who suppressed his anger, he smiled. Sir Luhua, He Tiangang and I have some matters to deal with first. Please wait here for a moment. Don't worry, we will be quick and won't take up too much time. He Tiangang smiled. That's right, there are some matters that I have to trouble you with. Qin Yu, this was really waking up in a daze and falling asleep in a daze. Who could tell him just what had happened? Why would the people of the Thousand-Eye Palace appear here? And even if they had appeared, they should not have such an attitude. The demon commander of the Merry Forest was behaving very strangely. It was as if he did not know anything, but at the same time he seemed to know everything. But from what he could see, although the development of the matter was strange, it did not seem to be a bad thing for him. Fighting to give things to others, was it because he did not have a deep understanding of the abyss, or perhaps he had a misunderstanding, that they were actually a race that loved and cared for others? His mind was in a mess. Qin Yu's silence in Elder Hu's eyes was a tacit agreement. He turned and left with a snort. He Tiangang cupped his hands together and followed behind. The two old demons left just like that. The fox girl was half kneeling on the ground with tears in her eyes. Her hands were still holding the magic skin bag, and her white chest was exposed, looking pitiful. Black Edge clenched his teeth. He grabbed the magic skin bag that the Merry Forest had prepared and knelt on the other side. Lord Luhua, although I do not know what has happened, if you accept it, please take our things. The fox girl was acting pitiful and could not immediately react. But in her heart, she wished that she could bite this damned horned python to death. I am using my great charm technique to attract Lord Luhua's attention. And you jump out to attract his attention? You are such an eyesore. Why don't you hurry up and die? Black Edge glanced over and sneered in his heart. You, coquettish fox, don't even think about flirting in front of Lord Luhua. Without mentioning the fox girl and Black Edge's secret confrontation in the quiet room, Elder Hu and He Tiangang did not go far. They turned into another quiet room. Closing the door, the anger and frustration on Elder Hu's face instantly disappeared. He frowned and said slowly, "Old black dog, what are you trying to do?" He Tiangong's expression was calm. "Smelly fox, you and I both know what is going on. Why waste your breath? You must know, if that person waits for too long, who knows what will happen." The corner of his eyes twitched. Elder Hu took a deep breath. "Let's cooperate." "We can cooperate, but we need to discuss the method first." "Damn it, at this time how can we delay? Both of us are here. If we are discovered by others, we will split up and no one will get any benefits." Hey, Tiangong's eyes flashed. "Are you sure that only the two of us know about this?" "At least for now, but my actions will be discovered sooner or later." Elder Hu's voice stopped. He suddenly widened his eyes and stared at He Tiangang. "You don't know." His face was flushed red, and even his eyes were dyed red. He breathed heavily, as if he would pounce at any moment. He Tiangang took a deep breath. He slowly said, "Before this, I indeed didn't know anything. But your words have reminded me the birth of the Black Demon Bull and the Silver Moon royal bloodline. Was it because of Sir Luhua?" As he spoke, even with his calm and steady mind, his voice became hoarse. It was clear that his emotions had reached an extreme. Bang! The soft sofa beneath Elder Hu instantly shattered into countless pieces. The soft material that filled it was also torn to pieces by the violent energy. "Damn it! Damn it! You damn dog! I will kill you! I will definitely kill you!" Old Fox, who thought of himself as a wise person, could not accept that he was the one who revealed the most crucial information. The actions of the Thousand-Eye Temple could be concealed from others, but Mary Forest was deeply rooted in Julu City. They were a true local snake, and no one could compare to the number of people they had planted. Therefore, based on the slight flaw in Elder Hu's words, He Tiangang immediately grasped the truth of the matter. After a series of crackling noises, the violent tremors caused the demons outside the quiet room to draw their swords at each other's throats. "Elder Hu, Master!" The demons from both sides had just pushed the door open when they were frightened by the roars that came from the quiet room. "All of you, get out!" Fortunately, although the two elders were panting, they were still full of energy. It seemed like there was no major problem. However, what on earth had happened for the two big shots to fight in the quiet room? TSK, I don't dare to think about it. I'll just wait outside. If I really hear something I shouldn't hear, I'll just be looking for trouble. At this moment, the quiet room was a complete mess. Everything within sight had been violently destroyed. Elder Fox and He Tiangang sat on a tattered sofa, separated by a table that had been smashed into pieces, and panted heavily. "Damn dog, consider yourself lucky. But you have to tell me just what happened today." After confirming Qin Yu's identity, Erebus Gang's heart began to beat wildly in his chest. He was excited to the extreme. Hearing this, he grimaced and sucked in a breath of pain. His smile became even brighter. "If I tell you, you'll definitely be even more depressed." As expected, when Elder Hu learned of what had happened between Qin Yu and Mary Forest, his intestines turned green with regret. It was all his fault for not being able to keep his composure. If he waited a little longer and Qin Yu left the shop, he would still be able to enjoy this secret alone. But now that things had reached this point, No matter how angry or unwilling he was, it was all meaningless. Elder who could only comfort himself. At least he had verified Qin Yu's identity from another aspect. Demon Commander. Who would have thought that such a terrifying strength was hidden beneath that ordinary aura? There was no mistake. Sir Flowing Fire was an Abyss Walker who had changed his identity and exiled himself into the Abyss to experience a brand new life. After a moment, the cleaned-up Elder Hu and He Tiangang walked out of the quiet room one after another, their expressions restored to their former selves. An hour later, Qin Yu floated back to his residence with 2 demon skin bags in his arms. Looking at the familiar door in front of him, he rubbed his temples, feeling as if he were still in a dream. There were far too many strange things happening today. Had the Abyss become abnormal? Chapter 1048. Merry Forest and Thousand Eye Temple had a dispute because of a batch of precious materials. It was said that the matter was extremely serious. The steward of Thousand Eye Temple, Old Fox, and the master of Merry Forest had both interfered in this matter. A battle had erupted on the spot, and both sides had parted on bad terms. Afterwards, the Thousand Eye Temple declared that they would make the Merry Forest pay a heavy price for this matter. The latter did not back down. They declared that Merry Forest did not fear any provocation, and that if they were invaded by the outside world, they would return it 10 times over. This matter involved 2 giant influences in Julu City. For a time, it caused an uproar and attracted countless eyes. Of course, not everyone believed this, but after some investigation, it seemed to be true and no flaws were found. Thus, because of Old Fox and Kuroda Takashi's exposure, Qin Yu's existence was greatly diluted and he became a nobody. This was the joint effort of Thousand Eye Temple and Merry Forest. To completely erase all traces of Qin Yu without anyone noticing was an incomparably difficult matter. Qin Yu did not know what had happened. Of course, even if he knew, he would only praise the 2 for their meticulous arrangements. Because of Liao Shi's existence, he did not want to attract any more attention. It was good to be a little invisible. But in reality, Qin Yu knew that after this matter, it was impossible for him to maintain his previous tranquility. But there was one thing he couldn't figure out. Had the demons of Thousand Eye Hall and Merry Forest really gone mad? They actually treated something like the vigorous Heaven Ascension pill as a treasure. In Qin Yu's opinion, they were simply tired of living. But whether or not Qin Yu understood, this was clearly the only explanation. The reason why these 2 groups of people had come to his door and acted so respectfully was because of the potions he had sold. Liao Shi reared his head back and laughed, mocking Qin Yu's judgment. He said that with his low taste, he would not be able to feel how breathtaking the potions she refined were. In short, the 2 of them were not on the same channel. With your level and ability, you are destined to be an honest assistant to the future number 1 demon refiner of the Abyss. Qin Yu snorted, thinking that he cared. But soon, an unexpected turn of events occurred. This was because Elder Fox and Erebus paid him a visit the next day. Although the words of these 2 old demons were filled with mystery, Qin Yu slowly understood the meaning behind their words. They wanted to cooperate. Moreover, it seemed that they firmly believed that Qin Yu was the one who refined those potions. Liao Shi's proud and arrogant face instantly froze. Qin Yu could almost hear the sound of her heart breaking apart. Throughout the entire conversation, Liao Shi seemed to have become an ice-cold machine. His face was so dark that it seemed as if it would rain at any moment. Old Fox and He Tiangang, the 2 old devils who were very shrewd, couldn't help but look at her a few times. It seemed that they were very puzzled. What exactly was going on with her changing mood? However, seeing that Qin Yu was turning a blind eye to them, the 2 old demons were smart enough not to show their displeasure. Instead, they raised the importance of Liao Shi by 2 levels in their hearts. This was obvious. When the master was meeting with a guest, even an ordinary maid dared to openly show her displeasure. Moreover, she wasn't reprimanded at all. So how could her status be ordinary? Of course, what was even more important was that Teacher Liao was beautiful enough. That's right, she was beautiful. Perhaps it was because they had different standards of beauty, but in the eyes of these two old demons, she was a top beauty. Of course, when Old Fox and Hei Tiangang first saw Liao Shi, they were given a fright. They thought that the Abyssal Walker was truly invincible. He had actually taken a royal woman as a maid. Such a cruel matter was simply unheard of. But soon, they discovered that Liao Shi didn't have any powerful aura. It was clear that she wasn't a true royal. It was likely that because of Lu Hua, he had refined some kind of potion for her that could conceal the traces of her race. It wasn't that similar potions didn't exist in the abyss. Moreover, they were deeply loved by the women of high-level abyssal races and were incomparably expensive. This also confirmed their speculations about Liao Shi. If Lu Hua didn't hesitate to use such a potion on a maid, then how could that maid be a simple maid? Thank you for Mr. Lu Hua's recognition. I hope that we can have a pleasant cooperation in the future. Of course, in order to express the sincerity of our two sides, no matter what you need, you can tell us and we will do our best to solve it for you. Old Fox smiled sincerely, his eyes surging with excitement. He had succeeded, and the entire process had been much smoother than he had imagined. If this were any other time, such an easy victory would have inevitably left Old Fox bewildered. This was the caution of an old demon that had lived for a long time in the abyss and had a certain status. But in Old Fox's view, today's matter involved an abyssal walker who had lived for an unknown number of years and had already begun to loathe life. He had no choice but to exile himself in an attempt to stimulate the passion of life once more. For this kind of extremely old and twisted existence that even wanted to kill him, no matter what he did, it was very normal. Hei Tiangang agreed. So after secretly leaving this small courtyard, these two high-ranking old demons looked at each other. They could feel the excitement in each other's hearts. To cooperate with an abyssal walker, even with their status, this was something that they would never have dared to imagine. But without a doubt, they had already succeeded. Next, as long as they did things properly, they would be able to obtain endless good fortune. Hei Tiangang licked his lips. His calm face was now flushed red, and his fingers on his thighs lightly trembled. Across from him, Old Fox sucked in a deep breath and temporarily suppressed his emotions. His gaze fell on Hei Tiangang, and he faintly frowned. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Old dog, although I can understand your current excitement, you and I both know how difficult this matter is. Strictly speaking, it is even more difficult than refining a life-changing potion that can stimulate the bloodline of the demons. You have already tried many times in these past years, so I advise you not to easily open your mouth." Hei Tiangang closed his eyes. After several breaths of time, he opened them again. But in the end, he still couldn't completely calm the fluctuating emotions in his heart. There was still a trace of struggle in his eyes. "You smelly fox, I understand what you are saying. But it is precisely because I have already tried so many times in these past years that I am certain this is my last chance." He paused for a moment and then slowly let out a breath. Although the endless abyss is vast, peak demon refiners are as rare as phoenix feathers and Chelan horns. If I miss Sir Wildfire, it is impossible for me to meet a second one. So, no matter what, I must try at least once. If I am rejected, then I can completely give up and extinguish all thoughts of becoming an old man in this giant deer city. Old Fox was silent for a long time. Then he gently sighed. "Then you had best prepare a sufficiently generous gift. If you need my help, just ask. After all, I am also one of the reasons why you ended up like this." Hei Tiangang smiled. "There is no need. I have waited for this day for countless years. I have already made all the necessary preparations." He glanced at Old Fox. "You do not need to feel any guilt towards me. There was no right or wrong in what happened in the past. You and I simply had different standpoints." The carriage fell silent. In silence, they entered Merry Forest. Old Fox left the carriage in a hidden area. After changing carriages, he didn't pause at all and instead left in another direction. Hey, Tiangang stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Black Edge respectfully stood to the side, his eyes filled with curiosity. He didn't know where his master had gone today, nor did he understand why Old Fox would be together with his master. It had to be known that ever since he entered Merry Forest, although there had been no direct conflict between his master and Thousand Eye Temple, their relationship wasn't considered good. As for his master's relationship with Old Fox, he didn't know. In truth, he didn't want to know either. This was because maintaining a muddled state was the best choice for a subordinate. Black Edge, I will be going into seclusion for some time. I will temporarily leave the affairs of Merry Forest to you to manage. With that, He Tiangang stepped out. Demonic energy surged and his figure vanished. Black Edge bowed. Yes, my master. Liao Shi glared at Qin Yu. She had maintained this posture for a long time. If she continued like this, one would worry that her eyeballs would pop out of her eye sockets. Qin Yu originally didn't want to bother with her. Of course, deep in his heart, he wanted to see her make a fool of herself. But in truth, being stared at for too long was indeed uncomfortable, even if the one staring at you was a pleasant-looking woman. They were the ones who decided that I was the one who refined the potions, so it has nothing to do with me, right? Qin Yu rubbed his temples. Humph. Liao Shi coldly sneered, completely unmoved. Qin Yu was helpless. You must know that although you can freely appear in front of the abyssal demons, that is because you are wearing the pendant of hypocrisy. To you, fame is useless. It will only bring unnecessary trouble. Leaving these burdens to me is the best choice, don't you think? Humph, what do you want? I refined the potions. Everything was refined by me. But now they all think it was you. That is the greatest harm to me. Do you know that my dream of being the #1 demon refiner in the abyss has just set sail, and now it has been completely trampled on by you? Qin Yu's face darkened. Then how about I call them back and tell them that you are the #1 demon refiner in the abyss? Liao Shi, don't be so emotional. To you and me, the abyss is only a journey in our lives. We will eventually return to the world of the living. Once we leave, everything that happens here will be meaningless. Taking a deep breath, Qin Yu's tone softened a little. For some meaningless fame, isn't it not worth it? Liao Shi bit her lips. I don't care. She lowered her head and thought for a moment. Then her eyes brightened. You just said that you will leave the abyss sooner or later. So everything that happens here is meaningless to you, right? Qin Yu nodded. Good. I want you to promise me that before you leave the abyss, you will publicly announce that the one who refined these potions is me, Miss Liao Shi. I am the strongest demon refiner in the abyss, and you are only my assistant. In the process of refining these potions, you only played a small role. Qin Yu said, Okay. You agree? You can't go back on your word. Is there a need? You have to promise. Okay, I promise. Finally, everything was settled, looking at Liao Shi's departing back. Qin Yu couldn't help but bitterly smile. He thought that women were sometimes difficult to understand. He really couldn't understand why Liao Shi cared so much about this matter. If there was something he couldn't figure out, then there was no need to waste time and energy. In the future, the answer would naturally jump out. Strictly speaking, after forming an alliance with Thousand Eye Hall and Merry Forest, there was no need to worry about his safety in Julu City. Although he didn't know how much strength these two forces could produce if they joined forces, if they were able to work together, they would inevitably stand on the same level. In other words, Thousand Eye Hall was no weaker than Merry Forest, and Merry Forest occupied nearly a fifth of Julu City's territory. This was a simple analogy. In this situation, even if the city lord wanted to deal with Qin Yu, they might not succeed. The only thing he needed to worry about was what Liao Shi said. As time passed, the aura she emitted would become increasingly strong. The pendant of hypocrisy was good, but it was hard to say when it would be used. It seemed that he needed to collect some things that could be used to further conceal her aura. This was already the 7th day since the eruption of the beast tide. Who knew how many demon beast corpses had fallen from the endless moat in front of Julu City? But they still covered the mountains and plains, endless and endless. It gave the demons the feeling that the more they killed, the more there would be. Although they occupied a natural stronghold and had a strong city to rely on, in these last 6 days, the demon race had suffered a terrifying number of casualties. Ordinary demons only knew that the eruption of the beast tide this time was particularly fierce. But the city lord mansion that controlled all resources and organized the resistance against the beast tide knew exactly what was happening. In a short 7 days, the number of demon casualties in Julu City had already equaled the total number of casualties from the previous beast tide eruptions. According to convention, once a beast tide erupted, it would continue for at least a month. And as time passed, the beast tide would become increasingly strong, reaching its peak in around 20 days. Disregarding the possibility that the city was broken through by the beast tide, even if they could hold on, the final number of demon casualties would reach an astonishing number. Moreover, what was strange was that not all cities suffered such a terrifying impact from the beast tide. On the contrary, according to the news they received, the other 2 large cities near Julu City suffered much less than in previous years. This was an extremely rare occurrence. But the abyss had existed for countless years, and beast tides had erupted countless times. There were similar examples. The reason why the intensity of a beast tide increased abnormally was because there was something in that city that was extremely tempting to demon beasts. In the ancient records of the abyss, Abyss City, which had yet to be destroyed tens of thousands of years ago, was built by the powerful Ink race in their most glorious period. It had an incomparably powerful defensive ability, and it was said that even the king of the abyss couldn't break through. But in a beast tide, it was completely destroyed and fell into the endless abyss. Not a single one of the tens of millions of demons in the city survived. After the investigation, it was found that Abyss City was powered by 3 demon dragon hearts, which provided the entire city with an endless supply of demonic power. Because the aura of the demon dragon hearts couldn't be completely concealed, it caused the beast tide to change, and the degree of terror skyrocketed 100 times. The city lord mansion suspected that what happened to Julu City this time was most likely because there was something in the city that was extremely tempting to demon beasts. Of course, this was only a suspicion for the time being. The cause of the beast tide hadn't been clearly investigated. Who could truly be sure what these berserk demon beasts were thinking? But no matter what the cause of the beast tide was, the dangerous situation that Julu City was currently facing was an indisputable fact. Therefore, the city lord mansion believed that it was necessary to report this matter to the other forces in the city. Only by combining all their strength could they possibly resist the attack of this beast tide. Otherwise, once Julu City was breached, even if the ruling class could escape, they would suffer the greatest loss. The message from the city lord mansion was quickly sent out, but the first response made the city lord frown. Erebus had just gone into seclusion. Chapter 1049. Mary Forest occupied nearly 1/5 of Julu City. It had its own system and was outside of the control of the city lord's office. In reality, it was a city within a city. City Lord Hazay, who was a mix of serpent and serpent, chose to acquiesce and even let Black Edge, who was related to him by blood, enter Mary Forest and become He Tiangon's trusted subordinate. This was naturally because he was afraid of his demon commander level strength. Why don't you try someone else? Let's see if our Hazay City Lord will pull out your brain with one slap. Therefore, in the face of He Tiangong's response to his closed-door training, the city lord could do nothing but helplessness. This was because he had already begun his closed-door training the day before he sent the message. He had already confirmed this, and Black Edge had also given him a clear answer. This bastard kid, after entering Merry Forest, had really become He Tiangong's absolute confidant. His attitude towards his uncle was rather cold. But on this matter, He Zhe believed that this kid would not dare to casually fool him. Without He Tiangang, Julu City had one less demon commander level peak combat power. This, obviously, greatly affected his plans. But the beast tide was getting stronger by the day. Countless demons were dying every day. He could not wait any longer. It was not that our He Zhe city lord was kind and valued the defending demons. It was because only with people could there be wealth. If most of the demons in Julu City died, what was the point of him being the city lord? Or, to put it in more extreme terms, if Julu City was really conquered by the beast tide, would the city lord still be the city lord? So on the matter of resisting the beast tide, the He Zhe city lord was definitely the most enthusiastic one out of everyone. Since Merry Forest was absent, Thousand Eye Hall and Three Lives Pavilion came as promised. Together with the city lord's office, they formed the top four of Julu City. Of course, in terms of absolute strength, the city lord's office, which was recognized by the demon king of this level, was the strongest on the surface. But if everyone really fell out and fought with their lives on the line, it would be hard to say who would have the last laugh in the end. After all, while the city lord's office was recognized by the demon king of the abyss, it did not mean that we did not have any backing. Putting aside the Merry Forest, which was an unexpected product, both the Thousand Eye Hall and the Pavilion of Three Lives were behemoths with a chain that spread throughout the abyss. Not to mention how powerful these two forces were. How could they not have powerful backers to back them up if they were able to do business? In short, on the surface, the city lord's mansion was the leader of Julu City, and everyone would give it a certain degree of respect. However, when they were on the stage and faced each other face to face, they were basically on equal footing. Here's a piece of news. In the beginning, Merry Forest wasn't recognized as having such a status. After all, as a local force that grew up in a barbaric manner, it would be a joke for them to be on equal footing with them without any background. The final result of this matter was that a fierce battle erupted between He Tiangang and the steward of the Three Lives Pavilion. No one knew the specifics of what happened, but from then on, Merry Forest gained its current transcendent status. As for the steward of the Three Lives Pavilion, a cold man from the Viper tribe, he wore a black eye patch on his face and never took it off again. The city lord of Blackpool sat down on the main seat. His eyes swept over the two. You should already know the reason why I invited you two here today. There has been a change in the beast horde. In order to prevent the situation from worsening to an unmanageable state, we must act as soon as possible to suppress it. The situation was tense, so there was no more mystery. Everyone went straight to the point. Old Fox frowned. Although I know that the beast horde this time is a bit inappropriate, has the situation really reached such a serious point? The city lord of Blackpool flicked his sleeves, and 2 magic crystal cards fell on the table. The information recorded within is first-hand information collected by the city lord's mansion. You two should have received some of it before. You will understand after reading it. After a moment, he put down the magic crystal cards in his hands. The room was deathly silent, and the air was filled with an oppressive aura. Old Fox frowned, and his face darkened. He did not think that the situation in Julu City had reached such a dangerous state. According to the calculations of the city lord's mansion, as time passed and the beast horde's power increased, it was highly likely that Julu City would be breached. Without Julu City, the city lord was no longer the city lord. As for him, the manager of the Thousand Eye Palace, he was no exception. Taking a deep breath, Old Fox slowly said, "With a situation like this, we should indeed intervene and take precautions." At this moment, the manager of Three Lives Pavilion let out a low laugh. "Julu City is in danger. We are naturally duty-bound. But I don't understand why Merry Forest can stay out of this. Shouldn't they contribute to the defense of Julu City?" The city lord of Blackpool frowned and then calmed down. "Hey, Tiangang has gone into seclusion. Before I sent a message to you, this was just a coincidence. So what if it was a coincidence? The beast horde has changed, and the city is about to be breached. Even if he has gone into seclusion, can't he just temporarily stop? The manager of Three Lives Pavilion's laughter became colder and colder. My Three Lives Pavilion will not charge into battle for no reason. Ever since the battle that year, Three Lives Pavilion and Merry Forest appeared to be at peace with each other on the surface, but in reality they were like fire and water. Over the years, the two sides had fought in secret countless times, and their hands were stained with each other's blood. So, in truth, the city lord was not unprepared for this situation. He took out 2 more magic crystal cards. Julu City cannot be lost. This concerns our interests. But as the city lord of Julu City, I am duty-bound. So in the magic crystal cards is the compensation I have prepared for you two. As long as you cooperate with me in resisting the beast horde, after this matter is over, I will honor it. The manager of Three Lives Pavilion took out the magic crystal cards. His eyes suddenly lit up and then flashed a few times. The compensation from the city lord is indeed tempting, but enough! Old Fox interrupted him. Hanshin, the greed of your viper tribe has affected you greatly. If it weren't for the fact that you weren't willing to give up some of the benefits in your hands, you wouldn't have come into conflict with Merry Forest and fallen to such a state. Now, the beast horde threatens the entirety of Julu City. Neither of us can stay out of this. Even after the city lord has offered compensation, you still continue to pester us. Do you want to repeat what happened in the past? Hanshin narrowed his eyes. Old Fox, are you threatening me? Old Fox was expressionless. I am only reminding you not to go too far. Hee, strange, truly strange. I heard that Old Fox had a conflict with He Tiangang not long ago, but now he is speaking up for him. I can't help but suspect that this matter isn't as simple as it seems. Hanshin's lips curled up. After all, there must be a reason for this. What does Old Fox think? Old Fox coldly sneered. What you think is your own business. The key right now is to deal with the beast horde outside the city. Old Fox is right. Then I will agree. I hope that the city lord will keep his promise in the future. Hanshin faintly smiled and said no more. The city lord of Black Pool nodded. Of course, he cursed in his heart. This damned poisonous snake. It was true that he hated Merry Forest, but he wasn't someone who couldn't tell what was important. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been qualified to be the manager of Julu City's Three Life Pavilion. His actions today were mostly to gain some benefits. As for Old Fox, the city lord really couldn't figure out what he was thinking. Was it like what Hanshin had said, that he was helping He Tiangang, or was this old thing playing along and making him take out the compensation? After all, as the city lord of Julu, since he had invited these two here today, he definitely wouldn't sit by and watch Julu City's internal strife rise again. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed his tumbling thoughts. Since the city lord of Blackpool had prepared the magic crystal card, he had naturally prepared it long ago. You too, since you agreed to this. Let's discuss what we should do next. The city lord of Blackpool tapped on the table. Hanshin smiled. I believe that the city lord has already thought about this. Why waste time? Why don't you just say it? If we can accept it, we will do as the city lord says. Old Fox nodded. That's right. The city lord of Blackpool said, That's good. Then I will start the discussion. His fingers continued to tap on the table. After pausing for a few breaths, he slowly said, The beast tide in Julu City is a local strengthening. The power of the beast tide in the surrounding cities is even weaker than in previous years. So we can infer that the environment of the beast tide itself hasn't changed. It's just that more demon beasts are gathering towards Julu City. The two of you should be able to guess what this means. Is the city lord saying that something that attracts demon beasts has appeared in Julu City? Hanshin's expression was solemn, but his eyes burned with passion. The destruction of Abyss City had shaken the entire abyss. Although it was rumored that the demon dragon race was behind this, the terror of the beast tide still made all the demons tremble. If this was true, then Julu City would likely follow in the footsteps of Abyss City. Old Fox's heart skipped a beat. In this moment, Sir Lu's figure appeared in his mind without warning. As a powerful abyss walker, it was normal for him to have some treasures on him. Could it be that the reason for the beast tide's strengthening was because of him? Countless thoughts surged through his mind. Old Fox's expression did not change. If he couldn't even hide his emotions, how could he have lived to this day? The city lord of Blackpool said, "There is no evidence to prove this. Right now it is just a suspicion. So I hope that you two can secretly investigate when you return and see if you can find anything. Of course, this is just a precaution. The best way to fight against the beast tide outside the city is to kill the demon beasts that control the demon beasts within the beast tide. Every time a beast tide erupted, there would be some powerful demon beasts within. They would automatically become the leaders of the demon beasts' army and charge according to their will. Break through the enemy lines." Of course, this was the conclusion that the demon race had come to after countless beast tides. In reality, the demon beasts' army in the beast tide did not have any rationality to speak of. And the more powerful the demon beast, the harder it was to maintain its rationality. What more in the beast tide? But no matter what the truth of the matter was, killing the most powerful demon beast in the beast tide could indeed weaken the beast tide. After losing the leadership of the powerful demon beasts, the beast tide was likely to split, and the pressure on Julu City would decrease. It was a good idea, and if it was successfully implemented, it would definitely be effective. But the key was who to send. Today, there were so many demon beasts gathered outside Julu City that they could move mountains and fill the seas. It was easy to leave the city, but to return alive would obviously be an extremely difficult task. In other words, this was basically a suicide mission. The people who were sent out would not be able to return. It was obvious with one's fist that the demon beasts that could control the endless demon beast horde outside Julu City today must be very powerful. Looking at the scale of the beast tide, it should be at the demon commander level. Even if the demon beasts had no rationality and were relatively easy to kill, to cause harm to a demon commander level demon beast, at least a demon general had to act. And the number of people could not be too small. No matter what, it had to be more than 10 to have a chance of attacking and killing the demon beast. In the abyss, demon generals were already absolute experts. For example, He Tiangong's subordinates, He Mang and Ying Feng, were his trusted aides and had extremely high positions in the Merry Forest, but they were only demon generals. Although there were a few other demon generals in Merry Forest who were on the same level as the two of them. Even if they were added up, there would not be more than 10. So on and so forth, the City Lord's Mansion, Thousand Eye Palace, Three Lives Pavilion, and Merry Forest, the 4 top factions of Julu City, had around 40 demon generals. Even if the hidden experts of each faction were included, at most 50 was the limit. Sending out 10 demon generals at once to complete a mission that was almost certain death was equivalent to losing at least 1/5 of the demon experts in Julu City. Moreover, because of the absence of Merry Forest, this matter could only be shared by the City Lord's Mansion, Thousand Eye Palace, and Three Lives Pavilion. This loss was simply shocking. Demon generals were not ordinary low-level demons that could be killed. There were countless races in the abyss, and new demons were born every day. There was no end to them, but only one demon general could be born out of 1,000,000 demons. Moreover, they already had their own will. If they were forced to accept a mission that was almost certain death, did they really think that these people would not dare to escape? Hee. Probably any demon commander would be very happy to accept them. Therefore, this matter was very difficult. The City Lord of Black Swamp City took a deep breath. The City Lord's Mansion can send out 4 demon generals. This is my limit and also my sincerity. Elder Fox was silent for a moment, then gritted his teeth. 3 demon generals, the Thousand Eye Palace can agree. In other words, our 3 Lives Pavilion will also send out 3 demon generals. Although Een Hanshin was smiling, his expression was incomparably savage. City Lord, the compensation you gave before must be increased by 30% before I can agree to this. The City Lord was expressionless. All right. The corner of Een Hanshin's mouth twitched. Then it settled. After another round of agreement, the 3 elders left. Even with their status, to complete this matter would take a lot of effort. Sitting in the carriage, Elder Fox's eyes were half closed. In his mind, thoughts spun rapidly. He Tiangong's seclusion was within his expectations. Since he wanted to ask Sir Luhua to help, of course he had to recover to his peak condition. But both he and Elder Fox were very clear that the success rate of this matter was not very high, because even the Abyss Walker was not omnipotent. If some matters were not handled well, it could even cause a backlash. For example, what He Tiangang wanted Sir Luhua to do next. But what if He Tiangang did something very important for Sir Luhua? For example, the suddenly strengthened beast horde outside Jilu City. If it really had something to do with Sir Luhua, there might be a chance. After all, to be able to help 2 low-level demons consecutively complete their bloodline activation in such a short period of time, Sir Luhua's ability must be at the top even among the Abyss Walkers. If he agreed to help, there might be a chance of success. After thinking for a long time, Elder Fox took out a magic crystal card. On the surface of the card, there were intertwining, blood-colored lines. It was obvious that it was not an ordinary item. After imprinting the information, he exerted a bit of force in his fingers, and the magic crystal card shattered with a crack. The fragments that fell from his fingers began to disintegrate in midair, and not even ashes were left behind. They mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Old dog, whether this matter succeeds or not will depend on your own luck. But from the time I've known you, other than that incident in the past, your luck has always been good. Chapter 1050. Liao Shi had finished refining a new potion. According to her, it was an entirely new upgrade, and its effects were completely different. It was a stimulating potion that could stimulate one's potential for a short period of time. It was named the Invincible Great Strength Pill. As Qin Yu heard this name, his lips couldn't help but twitch. He really wanted to ask why Liao Shi was so infatuated with the word great strength. Did she have some strange hobby that no one knew about? However, after taking a glance at Liao Shi's gleeful expression, Zhang Xian decisively gave up on the thought of wasting his breath on the matter of naming rights. In any case, this was a potion she refined, so she could call it whatever she wanted. In any case, the less trouble the better. He had more important arrangements to make. Qin Yu, my invincible great strength pill, is not an ordinary potion. It has very high requirements for the user. Otherwise, it won't be my fault if they eat it and die. Also, you must sell it for a good price. This is something I pour my heart and soul into. It cannot be sold for cheap. Qin Yu readily agreed. He pushed open the door and glanced around. As he expected, he noticed some suspicious people. But these people were only scattered around the perimeter. They didn't approach the courtyard or investigate anything. Thinking about it, this should be the arrangement of Thousand Eye Temple and Merry Forest. It was good that some people were here. Otherwise, something unexpected might happen while he wasn't here. Qin Yu looked away and left along the street. A moment later, he appeared in a reception room within Thousand Eye Temple. Old Fox was all smiles. Mr. Wildfire, did you bring good news today? Qin Yu glanced at the fox girl who was wearing increasingly provocative clothes. He casually placed the bottle on the table. There is a new potion inside called the Invincible Great Strength Pill. After using it, it can stimulate one's potential and erupt with a formidable strength for a short period of time. Old Fox's lips twitched. He thought that these old fellows who were so old that they wanted to die were truly abnormal. Even the names they came up with were so down to earth. First, it was the Great Strength Ascension Pill, then the Invincible Great Strength Pill. But things like names were just names. As long as the medicinal effects were good, nothing would be a problem. Old Fox picked up the bottle with both hands. He opened it and took out a pill. He looked at it several times and then nodded. As he thought, he couldn't see any problems at all. It looked just like an ordinary potion that stimulated one's potential. As the steward of the Thousand Eye Palace, putting aside his strength, his eyesight was top-notch. This was determined by the nature of the Thousand Eye Palace. Even he was fooled. It seemed that he had wrongly blamed the group of people who appraised the potion. But thinking about it, it made sense. How could the essence of a potion refined by an abyssal walker be so easily seen through? After hesitating for a moment, Old Fox smiled and said, "Mr. Lu Hua, according to our agreement, our Thousand Eye Hall will purchase the potion you sell at the highest price. However, the exact price will be determined according to the results of the test. Would you like to wait here for a while? We will complete the test as soon as possible and settle the bill with you. There's no need to go through so much trouble. You can keep the potion and slowly test it. I also have some matters that I would like to trouble Thousand Eye Temple with." Qin Yu took out a magic crystal card. There are some materials recorded inside. I hope that Old Fox can step forward and help me gather them as soon as possible. Old Fox received the magic crystal card with both hands and probed it with his divine sense. After a long time, he looked up, a bit of helplessness on his face. "Mister, these secondary materials are far too precious. It is impossible for our Thousand Eye Temple to gather them all. However, with the eruption of the beast tide and a massive number of demon beasts attacking Julu City, there will be a massive harvest every day. I will immediately post a bounty for collecting the materials tomorrow. I believe there will be some harvests." Qin Yu nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble Old Fox." Old Fox smiled. "Mr. Lu Hua is too polite. For you to choose to cooperate with the Thousand Eye Temple is our greatest honor. We will do our best to serve you." After a brief pause, he calmly said, "There is something I must remind Mr. of. We have already received a warning from the city, Lord Mansion. With the sudden change in the beast tide, the impact that Julu City withstands far exceeds that of the past. We will be taking action to weaken the might of the beast tide. If we fail, there is a high chance that Julu City will be broken through." Qin Yu frowned. There is such a thing? Before this, he didn't care about whether or not the demons of Julu City lived or died. But now that he was cooperating with the Thousand Eye Temple and Merry Forest, staying in Julu City was undoubtedly the best choice. If the city was really broken through by the beast tide, then he would have to return to his previous cautious state. Old Fox glanced at him. "That's right. If Mister knows of this, it's good that you are prepared. The situation might not collapse to that point." Although he appeared calm on the surface, his heart skipped a beat. Qin Yu's expression seemed to be telling the truth. He didn't know about the changes in the beast tide. Could this matter have nothing to do with him? If so, then He Tiangong's request might not be realized. Qin Yu nodded. Whether or not Julu City could hold on was naturally something for these abyssal demons to worry about. Whether or not he had a headache wasn't the key at all. He took a deep breath and suppressed his thoughts. He stood up and said, "I have other matters to attend to today, so I won't stay any longer. Farewell." After taking several steps, he seemed to think of something. He turned and said, "There is something I must remind Old Fox. If you want to test the efficacy of this potion, it is best if the test subject is a bit stronger. This potion isn't ordinary." He could only give a general explanation to convey Teacher Liao's words. As for what exactly wasn't ordinary, that would depend on them to figure it out themselves. Old Fox hurriedly said, "Thank you, mister, for the reminder. I will see you out." Qin Yu shook his head. "No need. The fox girl will see me out." This old demon had a high status. If he were to personally see him out, others would surely notice him. It was best to be cautious. Old Fox followed him to the door and ordered the fox girl to continue sending Chinyu out. When the two of them vanished from his sight, he returned to the quiet room and took out the bottle containing the potion. Invincible Vigor Pill. Although he already knew the name, Old Fox's eyes still jumped up when he repeated it. Forget it, he would ignore the name for now. He would look at the effects first. With Chinyu's reminder, Old Fox chose a colonel-level demon as the subject of his experiment very cautiously. A general demon could be considered to have officially stepped into the ruling class of the abyssal demons. No matter what race they came from, as long as they became a demon general, they would obtain a considerable status. And the colonel level was the most powerful demon beneath the demon general. Even though the Thousand Eye Temple was a large organization, they wouldn't be willing to use a demon general for something as dangerous as experimenting with potions. This colonel-level demon was the most formidable member of the demon race that tested the potion. Moreover, this demon originated from the Armored Ox race. During one of his experiments, he had profited from a disaster, causing his bloodline to become pure. It could be said that his body was made of steel and iron. It wouldn't be a problem for an ordinary demon general to suppress him, but if they wanted to kill him, they would have to expend some effort. Begin. After Old Fox gave the order, he sat down outside the testing field. There was a large group of professional researchers gathered around him to collect data. After swallowing an invincible strength pill, the armored ox devil quickly began to transform. It let out a deep roar, and crackling sounds came from within its body. It could even be seen that beneath its skin, its flesh was rapidly swelling and writhing. His entire body began to inflate at a speed visible to the naked eye, soon surpassing his original size by double. The armored ox demon's eyes turned blood red. He roared and punched out his fist. In front of him was a pitch-black crystal. After withstanding this punch, its surface began to shine with endless demonic light. Old Fox's eyes brightened. The demons outside the testing field began to rapidly record this as they cried out in alarm. The eruption of strength has increased by 3 times. What a strong demonic medicine. Look, his body is still expanding. The efficacy of this demonic medicine hasn't been completely released yet. The armored ox demon roared again and punched out a second time. With a loud explosion, the entire testing field shook. The demonic light that surged on the surface of the pitch-black crystal hadn't completely dissipated. It became even richer, like a small black sun. The eruption of strength has increased by 5 times. This is simply inconceivable. Buy it. We must buy it. Once this demonic medicine appears in the world, it will surely be highly sought after. The only thing I worry about is whether or not there will be any hidden dangers left behind after the efficacy of the medicine fades. That's right, that is the key point. Bang! The armored ox demon punched out a 3rd time. This time the teacup in Old Fox's hand was sent flying away, spilling tea all over the floor. 7 times. This is bad. The armored ox demon's aura has become chaotic. Its strength is about to go out of control. Retreat, everyone retreat. In the chaos, the stone pillars that were nailed into the ground around the testing field began to shine with demonic runes, releasing an enchantment that isolated the outside world. With a loud roar, the armored ox demon punched out in pain. A light, cracking sound fell into the ears of the demons, causing their eyes to widen. Even as they retreated, they paused for a brief moment. The testing demon crystal had broken. How was this possible? Before they could think further, there was a heaven-shaking explosion that spread out from the testing field. The armored ox demon, whose body had expanded to 50 feet, exploded into countless pieces. A fog of blood filled the air, wrapping around massive chunks of flesh and broken bones. It nearly covered the entire testing field. Old Fox fiercely stood up. Even with his intelligence, his hands were still shivering beneath his sleeves. Invincible Great Strength Pill. This was the invincible Great Strength Pill. Just now, he had clearly seen that the testing demon crystal had indeed been cracked by the armored ox demon's attack. It had to be known that the Thousand Eye Hall's testing demon crystal was one of the hardest of its kind. Even an ordinary demon general would find it difficult to damage it. In other words, when the armored ox demon had died, it had erupted with a strength that could compare to a demon general, perhaps even stronger. The abyss was an incomparably cruel slaughterhouse. In order to rise, the trillions of demons would not hesitate to stain their hands with blood. It was precisely because of this cruel living environment that there were many kinds of potions that could stimulate one's potential in a life or death situation. Moreover, their sales were astonishing. But as far as Old Fox knew, there was no such potion that could allow a demon to fight above their rank. It had to be known that the hierarchy of the abyss was extremely strict. Those at the top could play with the lives and deaths of the lower demons as they pleased. And this kind of strict difference in rank was based on the massive difference in strength between the two sides. The difference of one rank was like the difference between heaven and earth. But today, Old Fox had personally witnessed the effects of the invincible, great strength pill. As expected of an abyss walker, it was truly invincible. Moreover, what left Old Fox even more excited was that before the armored ox demon died, it had punched out a fist that could compare to a demon general's. But the result was that his bloodline and mortal body were unable to withstand the rapidly increasing strength within him, causing it to collapse. Perhaps the strength of the potion hadn't been completely released before he died. If the one who swallowed this potion was a demon general, then they would have a stronger bloodline and mortal body and would be able to withstand even more medicinal efficacy. Perhaps they would be able to contend with the demon commander for a short period of time. Just as this thought appeared, Old Fox's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. He immediately thought back to the matter of hunting down the demon beasts in the beast tide. If the 3 demon generals of the Thousand Eye Hall could swallow the invincible, great strength pill at this critical moment, then not only would their chances of completing this task increase, but they might even have a chance of returning alive. As for the City Lord Mansion and 3 Lives Pavilion's demon generals, they could die however they wanted. The more they died, the better. His eyes wavered for several breaths of time. Then, Old Fox took a deep breath and made a decision. He was the steward of the Thousand Eye Hall, so he had to be responsible for his own status. Moreover, Chi Nu's reaction made it so that he wasn't sure whether or not the beast tide was related to him. In short, whether or not he succeeded would depend on Hei Tinggong's own luck. After leaving behind a gag order, Old Fox forbade anyone from speaking about today's potion test. Then he turned and hurried away. Chapter 1051. In a small courtyard that was secretly protected by Thousand Eye Hall and Merry Forest, Chi Nu sat on the edge of the bed with an ashen complexion. He looked at the unconscious Liao Shi, his eyes dark and uncertain. He had inadvertently discovered Liao Shi in the room. A day had already passed, and she still hadn't woken up. The only good news was that her aura was stable. Otherwise, Chi Nu would have been unable to sit still. Why would Liao Shi suddenly fall unconscious? Chi Nu couldn't find a clue. But during this time, he had carefully inspected the arrangements and hadn't found any signs that anything had been touched. In other words, her coma had nothing to do with the outside world. It should be an internal problem. But because of this, Chi Nu was even more worried. Liao Shi was incomparably mysterious and wouldn't be as ordinary as she seemed on the surface. If there was something wrong with her, the situation would be very serious. They hadn't known each other for long, and Chi Nu didn't value Liao Shi that much. But for better or worse, they were friends. If possible, he didn't want to see anything happen to her. Of course, people couldn't be too hypocritical. They had to face their own hearts. What Chi Nu truly cared about was how to break the shackles of the myriad soul Tao. At this time, lying on the bed, Liao Shi's long eyelashes trembled. She slowly opened her eyes. Seeing Chi Nu, she didn't seem worried about her condition. She stretched her waist and lazily said, "How long did I sleep for?" Black lines popped up on Chi Nu's forehead. Do you think I'm blind? When someone sleeps, they directly lie down on the ground and sleep for over a day. It's been a day since I found you unconscious. Liao Shi's eyes widened. You slept for so long? What a waste. How could you waste such a good time in a dream? As she spoke, she got off the bed. I have a good idea that I must immediately test. Perhaps I can refine a very powerful potion. What should I call it? Qin Yu, what do you think of the invincible vigor pill? Qin Yu's lips twitched. Let's put aside the matter of the potion for now. I think you should first figure out what happened to yourself. I'm fine. Nothing happened to me, so don't think about it. Otherwise, I'll think that you have some improper thoughts about me. Liao Shi blinked his eyes in delight, as if to say, Lad, I finally managed to catch you by the tail. Qin Yu furrowed his eyebrows. He could sense that Liao Shi was incomparably firm on this matter. It was clear that she really didn't plan on saying anything. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed the anxiety in his heart and solemnly said, Teacher Liao, you must tell me if you encounter any problems. Perhaps I can provide some help. All right, you've just woken up. Rest for a while. I'll return to my room first. He watched Qin Yu leave. When the door closed behind him, Liao Shi returned to his bed and lay down. His rosy complexion suddenly vanished and was replaced by a pallid pallor. Brat, at least you still have some conscience. You don't completely use me and still care about me, but you can't do anything about what happened to me. Thus, Zhang Xian closed his eyes and rested quietly. A moment later, when Liao Shi pushed open the door and walked out, he had already regained his previous energetic state. He stood in the courtyard and shouted, Qin Yu, hurry up and come out. I've already thought of what to do. This time we will definitely be able to refine a very, very powerful potion. This woman was clearly stubborn to the title of the #1 demon refiner in the abyss. But this time, the potion that Liao Shi wanted to refine was not ordinary at all. It had a strict requirement for the output of demonic energy. Qin Yu was tightly held by her, but he didn't have any distracting thoughts in his mind. He ran around in circles, beads of sweat dripping down his forehead. But even so, he still couldn't completely satisfy Liao Shi's requirements. She mocked him several times for looking good, but being useless. Qin Yu clenched his teeth in anger. Were these words appropriate to be used in this situation? How could you possibly know how fierce I am? As Qin Yu was being commanded by Liao Shi to grit his teeth and help her refine the potion, a major event occurred in Julu City. The hunting mission had failed. The City Lord Mansion, Thousand Eye Temple, and Three Lives Pavilion had sent out 10 demon generals. But only the Thousand Eye Temple's demon generals had managed to escape. But he had also suffered irreparable wounds. After leaving behind several words, he breathed his last. And the news that this demon general brought back was like a bucket of ice water poured over their heads. Even with their status, they felt their bodies turn icy cold, as if their blood were about to freeze. The 10 demon generals had joined forces, and the 3 demon generals of the Thousand Eye Temple also had the invincible, great strength pill that Old Fox had given them before they left. With such a luxurious lineup, even a demon commander level demon beast had no way to resist. It could only obediently be beheaded. The reason it had ended up in such a pitiful state was because in the beast tied outside Julu City, there wasn't just 1 demon commander level demon beast, but 3. Moreover, what terrified the 3 of them the most was that, according to what the demon general said before his death, these 3 demon commander level magical beasts actually possessed quite a bit of intelligence, and they'd intentionally set up a trap and lured them in before brazenly launching an encirclement. If it weren't for the invincible, great strength pill that Old Fox had given them, this demon general wouldn't have been able to escape and would have been completely erased. Julu City naturally wouldn't have known what happened in the Beast Tide. It had been mentioned before that the abyssal races, whether they were demons or demon beasts, all of their strength was built on the foundation of their demon bloodline. Demon beasts born in the abyss were corroded by abyssal demon energy and didn't have much intelligence to begin with. Moreover, driven by their instinctive desire to strengthen themselves, these demon beasts madly slaughtered and devoured other demon beasts or demon bloodlines to increase their own strength. This would cause the demon bloodline in their bodies to become even more chaotic, almost completely devouring their own consciousness. Basically, in the abyss, besides a few special and powerful demon beasts, as their strength increased, their intelligence would become weaker and weaker. They would often only follow their instincts. Once they reached the demon commander level, they would still have a certain level of intelligence. In that case, the 3 demon commander level demon beasts in the beast tide outside Julu City must have a powerful demon bloodline that could suppress the other bloodlines they devoured without suffering a backlash. This kind of demon beast had a powerful bloodline and high intelligence. It was more than 10 times more terrifying than other demon beasts of the same level. Moreover, the most terrifying thing was that these 3 intelligent demon commander level demon beasts had appeared outside Julu City at the same time. This clearly wasn't a coincidence. It could be confirmed that there must be something in Julu City that attracted them, which led to today's situation. As time passed, the 3 demon commander level demon beasts would continue to summon more demon beasts, causing the beast tide outside Julu City to become stronger and stronger. Based on the current information, it was only a matter of time before the beast tide broke through Julu City. This conclusion caused the Blackpool City Lord, Old Fox, and Ian Hanshin to fall into a long silence. As time passed, their expressions became uglier and uglier. If they couldn't kill the 3 demon commander level demon beasts, the beast tide would grow stronger and eventually destroy Julu City. But even an ordinary demon commander level demon beast needed 2 demon commanders to work together to kill it. Moreover, it had high intelligence and a powerful bloodline. With Julu City's strength, it was impossible to do this, so the entire situation had become a hopeless situation. As for asking for help, the beast tide swept through the abyss. Everyone was desperately trying to protect themselves. Even if they had the strength to spare, they would only watch coldly from the sidelines. After all, in this cold and cruel abyss world, good people did not exist. Perhaps there had been good people a long time ago, but by today they had all died. The Blackpool City Lord let out a long sigh, breaking the dead silence in the room. His expression was solemn as he slowly said, "Both of you make your preparations. Try to minimize the losses you will suffer after the city is broken through." Ian Hanshin's face twitched. "Sir City Lord, are you going to give up just like that?" The Blackpool City Lord looked at him. "What else?" He stood up and slowly left. His back was still straight, but there was an air of someone past his prime. "No, I will not give up. Since the beast tide outside the city is because there is something in Julu City that attracted them, then I will find it." Ian Hanshin gritted his teeth. "I will definitely not let the 3-life pavilion branch be destroyed in my hands." Old Fox was silent. Countless thoughts collided with each other, but there was one thought in his mind that became clearer and clearer, regardless of whether the beast tide outside the city had anything to do with Sir Luhua. In the current situation, only he had the ability to pull Julu City out of the abyss of destruction. To Mary Forrest. Sitting in the carriage, Old Fox said in a low voice. The person driving for him was an old man from the Thousand Eye Palace, who was also Old Fox's absolute confidant. Hearing this, his eyes widened. Something had happened. Something had definitely happened. With just one sentence, he could hear the heavy emotions in Old Fox's heart. And most importantly this time, Old Fox had actually asked him to drive directly to Mary Forest. This was something that had never happened before. They sped along the way. Under the condition of maintaining stability, the driver increased the speed to the maximum. Hey Mang saw Old Fox, who had been invited in, and suddenly stood up. Why is Old Fox here? His lord was in seclusion. If this old thing caused trouble, no one would be able to suppress him. Tell He Tiangang to immediately stop his seclusion. If he does not come out, Mary Forest will come to an end. He Mang's expression changed. If it was anyone else who said this, he would definitely scold them and order his men to chase after them. What kind of status did Mary Forest have? Even the city lord's residents had tacitly agreed that his lord was in control of this area. Was the three-life pavilion powerful? Of course, they were incomparably powerful. But hadn't they chosen to back down after that battle? Who had the ability to make Mary Forest come to an end? At the very least, He Mang couldn't think of such a thing. But with Old Fox's status, he would never joke about something like this. Could something truly have happened that could endanger Mary Forest? But why hadn't he received any news? He Mang hesitated. Old Fox's eyes widened and he cursed. You bastard, hurry and send a message. Don't make me angry. His robes fluttered without wind. A terrifying aura of oppression broke out from his body. Old Fox's seemingly unremarkable body began to emit astonishing fluctuations of strength. Whether it was the Thousand-Eyed Temple or the Three-Life Pavilion, in order to become a branch manager, one had to have sufficient strength to maintain their own status. Old Fox and Hanshin were indeed not demon commanders, but they had secret treasures in their hands that could erupt with strength comparable to a demon commander. It was because of this that the battle between He Tiangang and Hanshin had occurred in the past, as well as the four great powers of Jilu City standing side by side. Now that Old Fox was enraged, He Mang naturally couldn't resist it. He was pressed to the ground, a look of shock on his face. The aura that erupted from Old Fox at this moment gave him a feeling that he was no weaker than his master. Wasn't he the same as Hanshin and could only rely on the power of his secret treasures to contend with a demon commander? How could he be so strong? At this time, space fluctuated. Demonic energy surged and He Tiangang stepped out, blocking in front of He Mang. Old Fox, what is happening? Why are you so angry that you actually attacked a junior? Old Fox angrily waved his hand. Have these people leave. He Tiangang raised an eyebrow. He Mang, all of you leave. Without my orders, no one is allowed to approach. Soon, everyone left, leaving only the two of them. He Tiangang said speak. Old Fox took a deep breath. Something is about to happen in Jilu City. He Tiangang's eyes changed. Beast tide. Old Fox nodded with a gloomy face. 2 days ago, the city lord took the lead and summoned Hanshin to form an alliance. Immediately, he explained how he had sent 10 demon generals out of the city to hunt down the demon beasts and how they had failed. This is how it is. If there are no accidents, Jilu City will soon be breached. At that time, you and I will have to escape. He Tiangang frowned. He had never imagined that this beast tide would be so terrifying. 3 demon commander level demon beasts with a certain level of intelligence could control a beast tide. Destroying Jilu City would not be a difficult matter. Moreover, with Jilu City's strength, they could not save themselves unless... He took a deep breath and said, Old Fox, you came to find me today to ask Sir Lu Hua to help. Since Old Fox had come, there was no need to hide anything. He directly said, that's right. Right now, only Sir Lu Hua has the ability to reverse the situation. As he said this, he took out a bottle and poured out a potion. This potion was given to me by Sir Lu Hua when you were in seclusion. It is called the Invincible Strength Pill. Don't mind the name. The medicinal strength of this potion can be said to be terrifying. A demon colonel of the Thousand-Eyed Temple, an iron-armored ox demon, actually managed to erupt with strength comparable to a demon general while testing this potion. In the end, the strength in his body exploded. I have considered it. If Sir Lu Hua can give us a few demon commander level potions similar to the Invincible Strength Pill, then perhaps with Jilu City strength we can save ourselves and kill the 3 demon commander level demon beasts outside the city. He Tiangang frowned. If I ignore my injuries, I can indeed erupt with the strength of a normal demon commander for a short period of time. Adding on the Black Pool City Lord, Julu City only has the strength of 2 demon commanders. Even if we obtain Sir Luhua's potion to stimulate our potential, we still have no confidence against 3 intelligent demon beasts. Old Fox nodded. You are right, but I know that in the next 2 days, a demon commander will arrive at Julu City. Including him, we have the strength of 3 demon commanders. Together with Sir Luhua's potion, we may have a chance. Hey, Tiangang frowned. With Julu City's current situation, who would dare come? Even if they did come, do you have the confidence to convince them to participate in such a dangerous operation? You have to know that even a demon commander can be surrounded and killed if they rush into the endless beast tide. Just me alone is not enough to make a demon commander risk his life. But old dog, don't forget that we still have an abyss walker with us. You want to tell him? This is our only choice. Otherwise, all our efforts over the years will be wasted. Are you willing to do that? Old Fox expressionlessly said. Just now, Een Hanshin said that he wouldn't watch as the 3-life pavilion branch was destroyed. I am the same. Even if there is a chance of angering Sir Luhua, I will still choose to take this risk. Moreover, there is another possibility. Perhaps by doing this in a way, we are helping Sir Luhua. Hey, Tiangang was smart enough. His pupils shrank. You mean that the beast tide changes may be related to Sir Luhua? I have probed, but did not obtain any useful information. But if Sir Luhua is intentionally hiding something, it is normal that I cannot detect it. Old Fox's eyes flashed. But besides him, the Abyss Walker, I cannot think of anything else in Julu City that could cause such a terrifying beast tide. Hey, Tiangang was silent for a long time. He took a deep breath and stood up. Let's go, we will go see Sir Luhua. I hope that what you say is correct. Chapter 1052. After Old Fox and Hey, Tiangang hid their tracks, they arrived outside the small courtyard with heavy hearts. They knocked on the door, but did not receive any response. They asked the people who were stationed here, and confirmed that Sir Luhua was in the courtyard and had not left. The 2 old demons were in a dilemma. Time was tight, but without Sir Luhua's permission, they did not dare to rashly enter. They could only smile bitterly and suppress their thoughts, waiting outside the courtyard. They waited for a long time. After more than 2 hours, the courtyard door creaked open from the inside. What they saw was Liao Shi's slightly red face. Her breathing was a little rushed, and her clothes and hair were a little messy. She invited the 2 in. Old Fox and Hey Tiangong's expressions changed. They hurriedly looked away and put on an expression that said they did not see anything. After cupping their hands and thanking her, they entered the courtyard. Even though the situation was critical and they were very impatient, the 2 old demons could still see a trace of envy in each other's eyes. She was indeed the Abyss Walker. Even in this kind of thing, she was far better than ordinary people. Not to mention how long the battle had been going on before they arrived. Just the 2 hours of waiting was enough for her to look down on the abyss. Perhaps only the talented demon dragon race could compete with Sir Luhua in this aspect. Qin Yu sat in the courtyard, his face slightly pale. He glanced at the 2 old demons and weakly waved his hand, indicating for them to sit down and talk. As he had used up too much of his magical power, he was in a trance and did not notice that there was a hint of understanding and gratification in the eyes of the respectful old demon opposite him. I was just thinking, who would be so brave in this aspect? It looks like Sir Luhua must have used something to liven things up, and the exhaustion was not small. TSK, the demon commander realm is so tired that his face is pale. It would be strange if he did not use a lot of magic power. Sorry, I couldn't leave just now and made you wait. Is there a reason why you are here today? Qin Yu asked energetically. The potion that Liao Shi had refined this time was shockingly difficult. He had been tortured to the point of almost going crazy before he had barely succeeded. The fox elder smiled and said, "The magic potion that Mr. Luhua gave to our Thousand-Eye Palace Hall previously had shocking effects. These are the magic crystals that should be paid. Please check and accept it. Qin Yu waved his hand. Hearing this, Liao Shi, who had been impatiently waiting, stepped forward and took the demonic leather bag. He glanced at it and immediately beamed with joy, his face full of pride. Then he snorted and nodded in satisfaction. These demons had good eyesight. At the very least, they were much better than the blind Qin Yu. They knew just how precious the potions that this miss was refining were. Qin Yu couldn't help but yawn. I'll accept the magic crystals. Is there anything else? Old Fox took a deep breath. He stood up and bowed. Mister, please save Julu City. Hey, Tiangang nodded solemnly. Indeed, right now. Only Mister can save the tens of millions of devils in this city. Qin Yu waved his hand. Hold on. Just what happened? Tell me clearly. He really didn't think that he had the strength or position to save Julu City. Old Fox spoke up. He recounted the events of the beast tide once more. This time, he earnestly stared at Qin Yu's face, wanting to find the slightest change in his mood. Unfortunately, his attempt this time ended in failure once again, and he could only angrily put away his little thoughts. The beast tide increased. Julu City was about to be broken. To sum it all up, it could be summed up in this sentence. What was truly unkind was that when Qin Yu heard this, his first thought was that if things couldn't be salvaged, then Julu City being broken through was also a form of comfort. After all, as mortal enemies of the world of the living, in Qin Yu's opinion, the more demons from the abyss died the better. As for his and Liao Shi's safety after Julu City was broken through, these two old demons in front of him would definitely think of a way to protect them, as long as they wanted to continue obtaining magic potions. But thoughts were thoughts. As a demon, he absolutely couldn't reveal these thoughts. Qin Yu had a heavy expression. After a long moment of thought, he asked, Do you two have any countermeasures? Hey, Tiangang said in a low voice. I heard that Mr. recently gave the Thousand-Eye Temple a miraculous potion that can stimulate one's potential. It is called the Invincible Vigor Pill, and its medicinal efficacy is astonishing. If Mr. can refine an invincible vigor pill that even demon commanders can use, then perhaps Julu City can be saved? He finally said it. The two old demons felt their hearts tighten. They waited for his response. Cough, Master Wildfire. I feel that the demons in Julu City are too pitiful. You should help them, Liao Shi suddenly said. Old Fox and Hei Tiangang were overjoyed. They quickly stood up and thanked her. They could see that Liao Shi had an extraordinary status in front of Qin Yu. If this woman spoke, she would surely be able to influence his decision. Qin Yu furrowed his eyebrows. He looked at Liao Shi and said, Please wait a moment. Excuse me. He stood up and left. Liao Shi followed behind. After entering the room, he closed the door and isolated himself from the outside. Qin Yu said, Liao Shi, I have already thought things through. Even if Julu City is broken through by the beast tide, our safety is not a problem. So why should we help them? The abyssal demon race is the mortal enemy of my world. The more of them die, the better. Liao Shi looked at him with a strange expression. Qin Yu, I've always thought you were smart. How come you're so stupid this time? Qin Yu had an annoyed expression. If you have something to say, then just say it. Don't beat around the bush with me. Liao Shi coldly sneered. Aren't you convinced that I'm stupid? Let me ask you, how many times have you heard about the beast tide outside the city? Today. Qin Yu's complexion changed. No, that's the second time. Last time I went to Thousand-Eye Temple. That old fox also mentioned it. Humph, humph. Humph, humph. Liao Shi sneered twice. You're starting to understand, right? Why don't you use your brain and think about it? Right now, these two old demons think you're me, an incomparably fierce demon refiner. Why would they bother spouting nonsense in front of you? And just now, where did your vigilance go? When that old fox was talking to you, his eyes were constantly glancing at you. It's clear he was looking for any changes in your mood. Qin Yu rubbed between his eyebrows. Wait a minute, you want me to think about it? Does that mean they suspect that the beast tide changes have something to do with me? His eyes widened. That's just nonsense. I'm staying in Giant Deer City, and the beast tide outside has nothing to do with me. Liao Shi curled his lips. Then you're wrong. Qin Yu's face stiffened. He put down his hand and stared at her. Liao Shi kicked his feet. He rudely said, "What are you looking at me for?" Qin Yu bit his cheeks, his complexion darkening. "Don't tell me that the beast tide changes because of you. Ha! I just said you were stupid, but I never thought you'd answer me first." Liao Shi brightly smiled. "Then congratulations, you've answered correctly." Qin Yu's field of vision darkened, and he nearly vomited blood. "Congratulations, my ass. You're just sitting at home, and disaster falls from the sky." He took a deep breath and clenched his teeth. "Don't waste time with me. Hurry up and tell me what happened." Liao Shi blinked. "It's very simple. We shouldn't have appeared in the abyss, but we've entered and we've stayed for a long time. Ordinary demons can't sense this, but we can't hide it from the will of the abyss. Thus, it wants to find a way to erase us from the abyss. That's about what happened. Now, I've told you everything." Qin Yu's head throbbed with pain. He resisted the urge to roar out, "You're saying that the will of the abyss has locked onto us? Why didn't you tell me before?" "There's nothing I can do even if I tell you. I might as well let you relax for a few more days and see how good I am to you. Don't be so ungrateful." Liao Shi rolled her eyes. Perhaps she could feel that Qin Yu was about to explode at any moment. She took several steps back and said, "There's no need to be too afraid. The will of the abyss sounds scary, but the truth is that it can't directly attack us. Otherwise it wouldn't have used a stupid method like the beast tide." Qin Yu's entire body stiffened. His face twitched. He said, "You're saying that this beast tide eruption is also because of us?" No wonder he had heard many complaints from the demons. They said that this beast tide didn't follow the same pattern as in previous years. It came without warning, and they weren't prepared at all, causing them to suffer tremendous losses. Now he had finally found the reason. If the beast tide eruption caused half of the demons that died because of it was Qin Yu's contribution. No, even if it was only a tenth, when he returned to the world of the living, he would obtain an unimaginable reward from the heavens and earth. But right now, none of this was important. What was important was how the two of them were going to survive. Damn it, Giant Deer City could not be broken. They absolutely could not be broken. Otherwise, the abyssal demons might have a path of survival, but they would die without a doubt. What nonsense. If they were surrounded by the beast tide led by the three-headed demon commander. Even if Qin Yu's strength rose by several times, it would be hard for him to escape death. Qin Yu looked at Liao Shi and finally understood why she had spoken just now. She wasn't helping the abyssal demons, but the two of them were trying to survive. Looking at Qin Yu's lifeless face, Liao Shi's eyes turned a few times. She thought to herself, "I'm basically speaking the truth. It's just that Qin Yu was implicated by me. He himself wouldn't be targeted by the abyssal will." After thinking about it seriously, Liao Shi felt that it was better to keep this matter a secret for now. Otherwise, she was worried that Qin Yu would turn around and run away from Giant Deer City. Elder Hu and He Tiangang, who were waiting anxiously, finally saw Lu Hua and his servant return. Elder Hu's expression did not look too good and became even paler. "Cough! Originally, I didn't want to interfere with the beast tide, but Liao Shi was moved by my compassion. In addition, the two of you have taken care of me and my servant, so I'll make an exception this time." Qin Yu waved his hand. Liao Shi walked over proudly and placed the bottle in front of the two of them. Old Fox and He Tiangang were startled. Their eyes widened and a burning look appeared in their eyes. Could it be that inside this bottle was Liao Shi humphed? He was very dissatisfied that they were looking at Qin Yu with even more awe. "That's right, it's just as you think. Inside this bottle is a new super potion refined by the #1 demon refiner of the abyss. It's called the Super Invincible Strength Pill. It's me. It's me. I'm the one who refined the pill. You too are blind. Super Invincible Strength Pill. All right, the name isn't important. It really isn't important at all. We don't care at all. Old Fox forcefully suppressed the urge to twitch his lips. He took the bottle and opened it. After smelling it, he felt the power in his body stir. His face lit up with joy. However, he wasn't a true demon commander. As for the specific effects, he still needed He Tiangang to verify it. He Tiangang handed the bottle to him and then took out a potion. He carefully looked at it for a long time before putting it away. He respectfully bowed. Mister's methods have truly seized the good fortune of the abyss. You can actually refine such a world-shaking potion. The talents of the Hell Dog tribe were their amazing sense of smell and superb observation skills. Although he hadn't tried it yet, he could already determine the power of this potion. Super Invincible Strength Pill. It was indeed super. Qin Yu frowned, his complexion still heavy. I can give you the potion, but do you think Julu City has the strength to contend with 3 demon commanders? Old Fox's eyes brightened. He clenched his teeth and stood up. Mr. Wildfire, the only true demon commanders of Julu City are He Tiangang and the City Lord. In order to ensure that everything goes smoothly, we need another demon commander to join us. Qin Yu frowned. You aren't talking about me, right? Old Fox was startled. He waved his hand again and again. Mister, what are you saying? Of course, I won't let you take such a risk. In fact, I have an old friend of the demon commander who will arrive at Julu City in 2 days. I just want to convince him to help, and I need your help. What help? Old Fox coughed. He looked at him and said, As long as Mr. permits, we can bring him here and introduce him to you. Qin Yu's lips twitched. He thought that this old fox actually had a good plan. It was clear that he was using him as a bargaining chip. What old friend? I'm your old friend. But, strictly speaking, the demons of Julu City were desperately trying to kill the demon beasts and prevent the demon tide from breaking through the city. This was all in order to extend his and Liaosher's lives. He had to endure it. Seeing Qin Yu nod, Old Fox was overjoyed. Then there's no problem. Mister, please rest assured that we will do our best to resolve Julu City's crisis. After he finished speaking, he pulled He Tiangang away. Chapter 1053. My name is Shadowless Demon. To be exact, it is a title given to me by the demon race that respects me, hates me, and respects me. But as time passed and more demon race called me that, I slowly forgot my own name. I just call myself Shadowless Demon. Anyway, this name sounds really domineering. At least, it sounds better than my real name. As for what my original name was, it's all in the past. It's not important, so I won't talk about it. Since I'm called Shadowless, everyone should be able to guess which aspect I'm stronger in. That's right, it's my ability to come and go without a trace, which made many demon race tremble in fear. I've been dominating many levels of the abyss and never failed once. Of course, this is also because I'm smart enough not to mess with existences that are beyond my limits. For example, some powerful abyss kings. 2 days ago, I received a message from an old fox that I met many years ago. Although I thought about it later, I realized that I was tricked by him back then. But since he had left behind the token, he had to keep his promise. Whatever he wants, I, Shadowless Demon, will be able to get it easily. After giving it to him, I'll have returned the favor. However, this old fox's current situation doesn't seem to be good. Along the way, I've found out about the dangerous situation that Julu City is facing. Come to think of it, when I arrive, this old fox will very likely ask me to help him. Don't ask me how I know. I'm just that outstanding. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to live until today after offending so many strong people. As for whether or not I would agree, of course, I wouldn't agree. Moreover, I'd give him a sliver of hope after some hesitation. Then, I'd reject him decisively to take revenge for all these years of depression. Thinking about that, I suddenly felt that I couldn't suppress the urgency in my heart. I really wanted to rush to Julu City right away. However, calculating the time, I wasn't far away. At most, I'd arrive in half a day. If you ask me if I'm worried or not, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't afraid of the beast wave outside of Julu City. Tens of millions of demonic beasts were wreaking havoc. If they really fell into a siege, even a powerful existence at the Demon King realm would be overwhelmed to death. Although I, Shadowless Demon, am confident and have a proud heart, I am not arrogant enough to think that I can compete with the Demon King. But don't forget my name. In the Beast Tide, I don't have the ability to kill my way in and out, but sneaking in and out is an extremely simple thing. I am me, a different kind of abyssal flame. My name is Shadowless Demon, and I speak for myself. About 6 hours later, in the Thousand Eye Hall, Old Fox instructed everyone not to disturb him. He sat alone in the guest room with his eyes closed, as if he was waiting for something. Suddenly, Elder Fox frowned and slowly opened his eyes. "Brother Shadowless Demon, since you are here, please show yourself." A low laugh was heard. The air in front of him rippled, and Shadowless Demon's figure slowly appeared. "Old Fox, it's been a long time since we last met. Your cultivation base seems to have improved. To think that you would be able to detect my presence." He was of medium height and lean build. This was probably the best description for Shadowless Demon. Aside from that, there was no other useful information. A large black robe covered in demonic runes dragged on the ground, covering his entire body. Even though he was standing in front of Elder Fox, he was like a shadow. Elder Fox could not detect his aura at all. There was a reason why Shadowless was able to be on many wanted lists and was still able to live a free and unfettered life until now. Elder Fox had a calm expression as he said, indifferently, "I do not dare to boast in front of Brother Shadowless Demon. The reason I detected your aura is because of the Thousand Eye Hall's array. Of course, this is also because Brother Shadowless Demon allowed me to detect you on purpose. Otherwise, with your ability, you would be able to enter and leave this Thousand Eye Hall branch as if there was no one there." Now you are flattering me and sucking up to me. Indeed, I guess correctly. Next, you should be thinking of a way to ask for my help. Damn Old Fox, I did not expect you to have such a day. But let me tell you, don't even think about it. You can try your best, but all of this is destined to be in vain. I will not give you any chance. There are no doors, no windows, no sewers, and no dog holes. The helplessness and despair after being rejected. I hope you can savor it. That face will definitely be very interesting. Shadowless Demon, who was very excited, looked very calm on the surface. He waved his hand, and a demonic light flashed. A beast skin bag appeared on the table. "Old Fox, this is what you want. I have already repaid the favor from back then, according to the agreement. From today onwards, we are even." Since I said that, you should be anxious, right? Come and beg me. Quickly come and beg me. I will definitely ruthlessly humiliate you. "Oh, thank you, Brother Shadowless Demon. There is no need to check it. I believe in your reputation." Elder Fox took the beast skin bag and looked at it before putting it aside. Then he looked at Shadowless Demon and did not speak any more. But the meaning in his eyes was very clear. Since the matter was settled, the debt between the two of them had been settled. What were you still doing here? Under the loose black robe, Shadowless Demon was a little dumbfounded. The plot should not be like this. How dare you look at me like this? Beg me, you should be begging me now. Frowning, Elder Fox looked confused. Brother Shadowless Demon, is there anything else? Damn it, this old fox did not ask me for help. Did he already have another way to deal with it? The gap between expectation and reality was too big, causing Shadowless Demon's heart to be in a mess. His face did not look good. Taking a deep breath, he tried to keep his voice calm as he said, slowly, "I heard that this beast wave has put a lot of pressure on Julu City. According to what I know, Many people think that it will be broken through. Old Fox, your Thousand-Eye Palace is a big force in Julu City. I am afraid that you will lose a lot." The corners of Old Fox's mouth curled up, revealing a trace of mockery. "I've heard similar rumors, but they're just nonsense. My Julu City, hee, it's not something that a mere beast tide can break through." As he spoke, his expression changed slightly, as if he realized that he had said too much. He quickly withdrew his thoughts and coughed. "I still have other things to deal with, so I won't waste any more time with you, brother Shadowless Demon. If there's nothing else, please go ahead." Shadowless Demon nearly spat out blood from his internal injuries. With a dark expression, he coldly snorted, "If that's the case, then I will bid my farewells." Schwa. His body was like a shadow, directly disappearing from sight. Elder Fox closed his eyes, as if sensing something. After a long time, when he didn't sense anything wrong, he opened his eyes and let out a breath. He muttered to himself, "This Shadowless Demon, he came at the right time. Luckily, that old black dog hasn't arrived yet. Otherwise he would have heard everything. Wouldn't that have been too easy for him?" His lips curled up, revealing a cold smile. He stood up and walked out, but just as he took 2 steps, he came to a sudden stop. He turned around and roared, "Shadowless Demon, you came back. Do you think that I can't sense your aura? Hee, then you have underestimated the defensive methods of my Thousand-Eye Palace." After several breaths of time, the room returned to its original tranquility. Elder Fox's face darkened even more. He coldly said, "What? You still don't want to show yourself? Do you want me to personally ask you to come out?" The room was still calm. The gloominess on Elder Fox's face slowly dissipated. He carefully looked around and said, "It looks like he really left. Humph, humph. Maybe before he left, Shadowless Demon was thinking that I would ask him to help me. Originally, there was a possibility, but now, hee, you won't have a share in this good thing." As he finished speaking, he quickly pushed open the door and left. Several breaths after Elder Fox left, in a corner of the reception room, space rippled. A pair of eyes appeared, revealing a bit of anger and mockery before disappearing. A moment later, in another reception room, Elder Fox and Hei Tiangang were sitting across from each other. The two of them were fiercely arguing about something. "I have a good friend who has been in the Demon Commander realm for many years and is incomparably strong. He is the best choice. If I invite him to Julu City, he will definitely be able to resolve the Beast Tide crisis outside the city." Hei Tiangang said in a low voice, as if saying that his choice was the best choice. Elder Fox coldly sneered, "Old Dog Hei, stop boasting. You're just a sickly demon commander, so what truly strong friends can you have? On the other hand, my Thousand-Eye Palace has many businesses and countless powerhouses under our command. For example, the one I recommended. His strength is first-rate, and he is also tight-lipped. He is the best choice for you and me." Hei Tiangang sneered, "Nonsense. It is because people like you have deep connections and influences behind you that you are not worthy of trust. If even the slightest bit of information about you is leaked, then you and I can forget about interfering in this matter. Naturally, we won't be able to obtain any benefits." Elder Fox's complexion changed, as if he had also thought of this possibility. Following that, the two of them engaged in a war of words. After bargaining many times, they finally reached an agreement. The candidate was the friend that Hei Tiangang spoke of, but for this he needed to pay Elder Fox a generous reward. As for how generous the reward was, simply put, even a wealthy demon commander would feel pain in his heart. Hei Tiangong's lips twitched, but he still agreed. Looking at his dignified expression, there was a hint of joy in his eyes. It seemed that, in his opinion, he had gained some advantage in this deal. "Then this matter is settled. I will immediately send out a message. He will definitely arrive within 3 days." Then Hei Tiangang stood up to leave. But at this moment, a low laugh suddenly sounded out in the quiet room. "Old Fox, Hei Tiangang, I'm really sorry. This demon was curious and heard something interesting. I wonder if the two of you are willing to count me in as well. Within the air, Shadowless Demon's figure appeared. His eyes swept over Elder Fox's darkened expression, and his smile became even brighter. "It's you." Elder Fox clenched his teeth. "Shadowless Demon, how dare you eavesdrop on our conversation? Do you really think I can't do anything to you?" Hei Tiangong's face was as heavy as water. A powerful aura burst out of his body and locked onto him. Shadowless Demon's smile didn't change. His eyes were full of calmness. "You too, my strength is in the Demon Commander realm. It's not that strong, but if I want to escape, you can't stop me. Regarding this, you and I both know it. If some news spreads out in the outside world, I don't think you want to see it." Elder Fox's face changed. "What do you want?" "Nothing much." Shadowless Demon's lips curled up. "Just like what I said, count me in." "Impossible." Hei Tiangang blurted out. Shadowless Demon chuckled, and his figure began to disappear. "Then I'm sorry. I'd rather crush the grapes that others can't eat than let others have it." "Wait," Elder Fox shouted. At the same time, he glared at Hei Tiangang. "Old black dog, don't be rash." "Stop talking nonsense. If you weren't so careless, would our plan have been discovered?" Hei Tiangang said fiercely. Elder Fox had a helpless face. "I've been careful enough." Under the cover of the black robe, Shadowless Demon smiled proudly. If he used his full strength, how could a mere 1,000-eyed temple detect him? Although he still hadn't figured out what Elder Fox and Hei Tiangang were talking about, there was no doubt that it was related to an extremely powerful character. "Sir," to be able to make Elder Fox and Hei Tiangang address him so respectfully, his status must be extremely high. Could it be that the person they were talking about was an abyssal king? If so, solving the Beast Tide crisis in Julu City wouldn't be difficult. However, abyssal kings rarely interfered with matters related to beast tides. It was said that this involved the supreme abyssal will. Shadowless Demon smiled. "Since you too need a demon commander helper, it doesn't matter if you choose me or anyone else. The result is the same. Plus, I'm in Julu City now. I don't even need to wait. Perhaps this is something destined by the abyssal will." Elder Fox and Hei Tiangang hesitated again and again. Eventually, they nodded with gloomy faces. They understood that blaming each other now was meaningless. Shadowless Demon's smile became brighter. "Then, please tell me everything." Hei Tiangang coldly snorted. He sat down with an unfriendly expression, not intending to speak. Elder Fox bitterly smiled and took a deep breath. "Then let me tell you." He glanced at Shadowless Demon. "You already know about the Beast Tide mutation in Julu City. Now I will tell you for sure that the power of the Beast Tide is much more terrifying than you can imagine, because there are 3 Demon Commander level demon beasts hidden inside, and they all retain a high level of intelligence." Shadowless Demon's face changed. Demon Commander level demon beasts with intelligence. His eyes revealed surprise as he glanced at Elder Fox and Hei Tiangang. "It's true. Since I've agreed to let you join, you will soon know about this. I won't speak nonsense about this." Elder Fox's expression was solemn. "Brother Shadowless Demon, now you should have guessed the reason for the Beast Tide mutation, right?" Shadowless Demon licked his lips, his eyes turning hot. "You mean something that attracts demon beasts has appeared in Julu City?" 3 intelligent Demon Commander level demon beasts. If there wasn't a reason, how could there be such a coincidence that they appeared in the Beast Tide outside Julu City? The destruction of Abyss City in the past had shaken the entire abyss. All the demons were well aware of this. Of course, he could relate it to this. Thinking back to what Elder Fox and Hei Tiangang had said before, Shadowless Demon's heart beat faster. Perhaps they already knew where this thing was. The reason they joined forces with the 3rd Demon Commander was to obtain this thing. Then, they would use it to exchange for an Abyss King to help resolve the crisis of Julu City. By doing this, not only could they eliminate the Beast Tide crisis, but they could even obtain a favor from an Abyss King. No wonder the two of them would compete so fiercely. They both wanted to pull their own demon commanders into this matter. Chapter 1054. The ranks of the Abyss were extremely strict. The difference in strength between each rank was astonishing, and between a demon commander and a demon king, there was no doubt the greatest difference. There was no comparison between the two. For any demon commander, if they could obtain the favor of an abyssal demon king, it would be a life-saving trump card. If they encountered an obstacle they couldn't overcome, as long as they could invite the help of an abyssal demon king, they could often resolve the calamity. But shadowless demons' thoughts weren't just this. If this matter involved a powerful demon king that he didn't dare to provoke, then he would do as Old Fox and Hei Tiangang wanted. However, if this demon king's strength wasn't that frightening, then perhaps he would be able to seize the opportunity to take the treasure away. As for the possible consequences of this matter, or even the pursuit of the demon king and Thousand-Eye Temple, Shadowless Demon didn't fear them at all. This was because he had logged on too many similar hit lists. As the saying goes, when there are too many lice, it doesn't itch anymore. So what if he added a few more? Of course, the premise of all of this was that this treasure was expensive enough. But even if he thought with his fist, he could guess that something that could cause the beast tide to change and cause the Abyssal King to break the taboo and intervene in the beast tide must be incredibly precious. But Old Fox's following words were like a bucket of cold water, dousing the fire in Shadowless Demon's heart and turning it cold. Yes and no. Old Fox lowered his voice, his expression solemn. What attracted the beast tide in Giant Deer City wasn't a treasure, but a person. Shadowless Demon's eyes widened. A person? Hei Tiangang coldly sneered. Don't be so disappointed, because our next bargaining chip with you is to introduce you to this person. And for this, you must agree to join hands with us to resolve the beast tide crisis outside the city. Shadowless Demon's complexion paled. He coldly said, "Are you two deliberately making fun of me? Do you really think I don't dare to spread this matter?" Hei Tiangang coldly sneered. What? Are you dissatisfied with this? Let me tell you, even an Abyssal King is willing to pay any price to get to know this person. He paused for a moment, his voice filled with respect. Because this person stands at the peak of demon refiners. He is a powerful and incomparably noble Abyssal Walker. Bang! Shadowless Demon stumbled and knocked over a flower pot in the corner. However, he didn't care about his embarrassing posture at all. He steadied himself and blurted out, "Abyss Walker? Is this true?" Elder Fox nodded solemnly. Of course it's true. If it wasn't so, why would we be willing to take the risk to resolve the crisis of the beast tide outside the city? As long as I can accomplish this, I will definitely obtain a favorable impression from the Abyss Walker. As for what this means, there is no need for this old man to explain. The Abyssal Demon Kings were indeed terrifying. They represented a kind of unrivaled annihilation. Then, what the Abyssal Walker represented was unimaginable good fortune. Even the Abyssal Demon Kings hoped to befriend an Abyssal Walker. That was because it could very well represent the possibility of them continuing to grow stronger. As for becoming enemies, even the demonic dragon race would absolutely not allow an Abyssal Walker to stand on the opposite side of their race. The reason for that was because no one knew what sort of terrifying consequences this would lead to. So at this time, even though Shadowless Demon obtained Elder Fox's confirmation, there were still loud rumbling sounds in his mind. Disbelief still occupied the majority of his chaotic thoughts. The abyss was endless. In addition to some hidden spaces, it was unknown just how many layers there were. Tens of millions of races were born, and although there were strong and weak races, there were also thousands of Abyssal Demon Kings. Every Abyssal Demon King was the strongest existence in their race, and they had obtained the recognition of a portion of the abyss. In comparison, even if the number of Abyssal Walkers was reduced by 100 times, they still wouldn't be able to stop them. How could such an existence that stepped onto the peak of the abyss appear in the tiny Julu city? Well, even if they did appear here, how could there not be any news of them? If this was true, then the entire Julu city would likely be crammed to the brim with demons from all over. The ruler of this layer of the abyss, the infernal demon dog king, would definitely personally descend to meet with the abyssal walker. But now, what shadowless demons saw was a Julu city that was in imminent danger under the onslaught of the beast tide. None of the things mentioned above existed. Lie to me? But even if it was a lie, there was no need to do something so ridiculous. Shadowless demon sucked in a deep breath. Old Fox, you and I can be considered old acquaintances. After receiving your message, I raced here from tens of thousands of miles away to deliver the item to you. I admit that I was in the wrong when I eavesdropped on your conversation. But now, since you and I want to cooperate, then please, tell me exactly what happened. His eyes revealed a cold intent, and his tone became even deeper. You should know that I always keep my promises. If you lie to me, then I, Shadowless Demon, guarantee that I will make you pay a heavy price. Of course, I can take responsibility for everything I say. Currently, there is indeed an abyssal walker hidden in Julu City. Before today, only I and Hei Tiangang knew about this. Now, including you, there are only 3 people. Old Fox paused for a moment, as if he were organizing what he wanted to say next. The entire matter is like this. He slightly changed the key points of the matter. He spoke of how Thousand Eye Hall and Mary Forest discovered Qin Yu's identity. Because these were facts, there were naturally no flaws in his story. Shadowless Demon's eyes became increasingly bright. His intuition told him that Old Fox really wasn't lying, and his powerful intuition was a powerful ability that his demonic bloodline gave him. In these years, he had wandered through the abyss, collecting treasures everywhere. Because of this, he had fallen into dangerous situations countless times. For Shadowless Demon to be able to break through hurdles after hurdle and survive until now, his powerful demon commander level strength was naturally the most important reason. But his powerful intuition played at least 30% of the role. Thus, Shadowless Demon had extraordinary confidence in his own intuition. Where is the invincible, great strength pill? Now, all he needed was proof to confirm the thoughts in his heart. The existence of Neo Dachui and the Wind Wolf race's Big Mountain wasn't a secret in Julu City. As long as he left Thousand Eye Hall, he could find them at any time. He had continuously helped 2 low-level demons and stimulated their powerful bloodlines. This was indeed a strength that only an Abyss Walker could possess. As long as the invincible, great strength pill really had the power that Old Fox said it did, then he could confirm that what he said was the truth. Old Fox had a dignified expression. He took out a box forged from demonic crystals. It was pitch black, as if all light that fell upon it would be swallowed up. He placed it in front of him and said, "The potion is inside. But I must remind Brother Shadowless Demon that Sir Willow Fire is likely in the process of self-exile and doesn't want to be disturbed. So, if any information about Sir Willow Fire is leaked out, it will bring about a calamity. At that time, not only will you be implicated, but the 2 of us will also be implicated." Seeing Shadowless Demon nod, he let go. As he took out the invincible, great strength pill, Shadowless Demon's heart skipped a beat. That's right, this was the feeling. Although he hadn't tested it yet, as someone who had personally come into contact with countless treasures, Shadowless Demon had already developed a powerful ability to distinguish between treasures. He only needed to take a look at a truly precious treasure to be able to tell the difference. Because of this, countless demons who had been robbed hated Shadowless Demon to the core. Because no matter how well they hid or how they disguised themselves, as long as they were visited by Shadowless Demon, their treasures would definitely be stolen. Placing the pill under his nose and carefully inhaling, Shadowless Demon shuddered and closed his eyes subconsciously. His entire body was trembling slightly. This is the smell. That's right, it can't be wrong. Many years ago, when he was at the peak of the demon general level, he had casually taken a potion sealed in a jade box during a robbery. Of course, it wasn't just casually taking it, because just as he was about to leave, he suddenly felt that this potion wasn't normal. After that incident, Shadowless Demon faced the most terrifying pursuit in his memory. The demon general that he visited was like a madman, offering a bounty at all costs. It was also during that chase and escape that the Shadowless Demon had broken through his own limit. His demonic bloodline had leveled up, and he had leveled up to the demon commander level. And that potion was the key to help Shadowless Demon escape from the brink of death and become a demon general. Later, when the pursuit came to nothing, the furious demon commander gave up the thought of continuing to kill him in despair. After a long time, Shadowless Demon accidentally found out the truth of the matter. It turned out that the potion he stole came from an Abyss Walker. This matter was forever remembered in his heart. Naturally, he couldn't forget the unusual characteristics of that potion. Therefore, Shadowless Demon was confident that he could confirm his guess through the super invincible energy pill. And now he had gotten the answer he wanted. Yes, Old Fox and Hei Tiangang didn't lie to him. This was indeed a potion that came from the Abyss Walker. In other words, all of this was real. Yes. After confirming this, the true psychological shock exploded. Because Shadowless Demon knew very well what an Abyss Walker represented. Abyss Demon King, after breaking through to the Demon General level, he had almost given up on this unattainable dream. Because Shadowless Demon discovered that no matter how many treasures he stole, even if he could become stronger, he was still far from obtaining the recognition of the Abyss Will. It was so far that it made him feel despair. But now, this dream that he had given up seemed to start shining again. An Abyss Demon that didn't want to become a Demon King was not a true demon. This was a saying that had been passed down in the Abyss for countless years. Shadowless Demon was no exception. No matter what, he had to grasp this opportunity. Even if he had to take a great risk, it was absolutely worth it. Carefully putting the potion back into the bottle, Shadowless Demon turned around and left, disappearing into thin air. When you are ready, I will naturally appear. I will leave the city with you and kill the commanding demon beasts in the beast tide. Whew! Hei Tiangang let out a breath. This show is finally over. I just don't understand. With Wildfire as our trump card, as long as we show it, Shadowless Demon will definitely obediently agree. Why do we have to go through all this trouble? Old Fox glanced at him and said lightly, Shadowless Demon is naturally cautious. If we go up and tell him everything, he might not believe us. Instead, he might suspect that we are playing a trick on him. As a demon general, you have the right to see the Abyss wanted list. You should know what kind of amazing rewards he has now. Even you and I are tempted by it. Of course, Shadowless Demon would be worried. So, we can only play along with him. Let him discover it himself and believe it bit by bit. We just need to push the boat along. After all, the beast tide outside Jilu City is getting stronger and stronger. The 3 demon, general-level demon beasts should know that they can't hide anymore. We don't have much time left. Hei Tiangang was silent for a while and said, Old Fox, after all these years, I haven't found anyone more shrewd than you. Shadowless Demon is so hard to deal with, but he was tricked by you in the end. I think you did this today because of your own thoughts, right? Old Fox laughed, that's right, because I tricked him when I was little. After so many years, I'm afraid he has already realized it. I purposely let him see through all this. I think it will make him feel better and erase his resentment towards me. Damn Old Fox! Gritting his teeth and roaring, Shadowless Demon, who had already left, suddenly popped his head out from the air and stared at him. Although the black robe covered his face and his expression couldn't be seen, it wasn't hard to guess his ferocious look. Good, you're good. Let me tell you, when this is over, I will definitely not let you go. Then he disappeared with a swish sound. Hei Tiangang glanced at Old Fox, a gloating expression on his face. "Old fox, I just praised you, and now I'm being slapped in the face. Looks like you're not real, you're full of schemes." Old fox viciously glared at him. "Old black dog, you did it on purpose. You definitely did it on purpose." Hey, Tiangang smiled. "I don't understand what you mean. I'm leaving, you cunning old fox. As for the city lord's mansion, I will leave it to you. It shouldn't be a big problem. After all, the Black Marsh City Lord will not reject any attempt to save Julu City." Watching him leave, Old Fox paused for several breaths of time as if he had confirmed something. The anger and depression on his face instantly disappeared, and his lips curved in a faint smile. "Old black dog, you are still too young to scheme against me. In all these years, when had he ever won in terms of intelligence? He had lived for so long, yet he still didn't know. Today's plan seemed perfect, but as He Tiangang said, it was a trump card that would definitely succeed. There was no need to make it so complicated. Shadowless Demon was not stupid, otherwise he would not have lived to this day. Now he was dizzy because of Lu Hua's existence. When he left the Thousand Eye Palace, he would quickly react and be dissatisfied. This would be disadvantageous to their future cooperation. Even if there was only a small influence, Old Fox would not allow it to exist. He wanted to ensure that the beast tide was resolved in the most perfect state. Therefore, he continued to play along with Shadowless Demon's plan. Now that Shadowless Demon knew everything, although he was angry, at least he knew it with his own strength. He had vented his anger and would not have too many grudges. As for what Shadowless Demon had said, that after the beast tide, this matter would not end, Old Fox smiled. Haha, did he really think that he, Old Hu, was easy to deal with? He dared to scheme against you in the past. He dared to scheme against you today. He will naturally dare to do the same in the future. If you are not afraid of death, then come. Let's see who loses in the end. Chapter 1055. That's right. The first person to appear in this scene was Shadowless Demon, who had relied on his intelligence to turn the tables and win. After leaving the Thousand Eye Temple, he sneered at Old Fox's tiger-like performance and gave him a one-word evaluation. Gaudy. But this wasn't the main point. The main point was that he decided to personally see the Abyss Walker hiding in Julu City. Curiosity and excitement were one thing, but more importantly, Old Fox and He Tiangang hadn't warned him about this. Thinking about it, Sir Wildfire had already acknowledged him and told others about his existence. In other words, even if he was discovered, there wouldn't be any trouble. Outside the city, loud explosions sounded out. The violent roars of demon beasts mixed in with the cries and roars of demons. The impact of the beast tide became stronger and stronger. Julu City's thick and majestic city walls were already torn apart in many places. They were using the lives of the defending demons to forcefully stop them from breaking in. In this background of destruction and despair, Shadowless Demon looked up at the ordinary courtyard not too far away. His eyes revealed endless respect and awe. As long as the master of this courtyard was willing, the beast tide that represented a calamity to the tens of millions of demons in Julu City could be erased with a wave of his hand. Shadowless Demon didn't doubt this at all, because this was the supreme status that an Abyss Walker should have. With a single step, he was like a phantom, ignoring all obstacles in front of him. Shadowless Demon carefully maintained a respectful attitude as he approached the edge of the small courtyard. He hesitated for a moment, clenched his teeth, and walked in. Then he saw Chinyu sitting at a stone table in the courtyard, frowning as if he were thinking about something. Was he Sir Wildfire? Indeed, just from appearance, one couldn't find anything strange. The Abyss Walker's methods were truly amazing. At this time, Chinyu broke away from his thoughts and looked up at where he was. He was discovered. At this moment, the awe in Shadowless Demon's heart reached an unprecedented peak. Ever since he swept through the abyss, his greatest reliance was actually useless in front of Sir Wildfire. He didn't dare to delay, afraid that if he was slow, he would be attacked by Chinyu. Shadowless demon's figure appeared, and he respectfully bowed. After finishing all of this, he waited for several breaths of time. Seeing that Qin Yu had no intention of speaking, he turned around and slowly disappeared. Creak! The door was pushed open, and the energetic Liao Shi walked out. Wrinkling his nose, he asked, "Is this the helper they found?" Qin Yu said, "It should be. It seems quite fierce." Liao Shi's lips twitched. It's just that his means of concealment is slightly superior, but his overall fighting prowess is mediocre. At this point, she suddenly fell silent, swallowing the rest of her words. Qin Yu looked at her, his eyes narrowing. "You don't think they'll win?" Liao Shi rolled his eyes at him. "Qin Yu, don't you know that sometimes men who are too smart can be annoying?" Qin Yu's face darkened. "I don't care if you're annoying or not. You still don't have the confidence to deal with 3 demon commanders combined with super powerless meatballs? If that was the case, then everything they were doing now was a waste of time. They might as well think about how to escape." "Liao Shi, I don't know what you're thinking, but let me clearly tell you today that I don't want to die. Do you understand?" Liao Shi humphed twice. "You really are as timid as a mouse. I really can't figure out how she could have taken a liking to you," she whispered to herself. Seeing Qin Yu's complexion become increasingly ugly, she coughed and said, "All right, this is only my guess. Although the will of the abyss is brainless, for better or worse, it still represents the supreme strength of the abyss. Although it has no way to deal with us directly, since it has done so, it shouldn't be so easily resolved." Qin Yu's complexion became even uglier. This was because he discovered that he actually agreed with Liao Shi's judgment. That was right. The solemn will of the abyss was the incarnation of the entire abyss. Since it wanted to deal with them, how could it hold back? He feared that no matter what they did, they would eventually be forced into a hopeless situation. His eyes darkened. After a long time, Qin Yu took a deep breath. He looked at Liao Shi and slowly said, "You should know of a way to leave the abyss, right?" Liao Shi nodded. Qin Yu clenched his teeth. "We must leave immediately." As long as they lived, there would be other possibilities. They could find a way to break through the myriad soul Dao. If they died here, then everything would truly be hopeless. Ningling was doomed to never be rescued. Liao Shi blinked, a strange expression on her face. "I only said that I know a way to leave the abyss. That doesn't mean I can do it." Qin Yu. At this time he really wished he could grab this woman's neck and let her experience what it meant to swing a giant pendulum. Knowing a way, but being unable to do it was no different from not knowing. At this time, was she still in the mood to joke around? "Liao Shi." He lowered his voice and roared. Liao Shi shrank back and her eyes widened. "What are you shouting for? No matter how fierce you are to me, there is no other way. If you have the ability, then think of a way to escape. I won't stop you." Qin Yu's forehead darkened. This hateful woman. Did she really think he didn't know how to escape? If Giant Deer City was really broken through by the beast tide, the first thing he would do would be to throw her out. Then, while the demon beasts were fighting, he would take advantage of the chaos to escape. It was impossible for him to die. He couldn't die no matter what. He had to live. Qin Yu bit his cheeks and roared in his heart. But in reality, he also knew that since he had been locked onto by the will of the abyss, no matter where he ran, he wouldn't be able to escape. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Giant Deer City was defended or they managed to escape, there would definitely be other disasters that would befall them. No matter how he looked at it, this was a situation where he had to die. Seeing Qin Yu's ashen face and his anxious heart pacing back and forth, Liao Shi thought for a moment. Should she tell him the truth? But just as this thought appeared, she pressed it down. This stinky brat had taken advantage of her, and his attitude was extremely bad. She had to make him suffer a bit so that he would remember her forever. That's right, that's it. So, after a cold snort, Liao Shi turned and left. Looking at her back, Qin Yu continued to frown. All sorts of negative emotions gradually vanished from his face. He could feel that Liao Shi was hiding something. The situation they were facing didn't seem as bad as he thought. But this sort of unknown made him uncomfortable. He felt as if he were wrapped up in an undercurrent that rumbled forwards. He didn't know where he was going, and he didn't know where he was going. Who? Qin Yu let out a light breath. His eyes were firm. In this situation, if Liao Shi wanted to hide it, then he could only take it one step at a time. But no matter what, he could not give up. So what if it was the will of the abyss? He had fused with part of the source of the abyss. He might not die. After the Blackpool City, Lord confirmed the authenticity of the invincible strength pill. He agreed to Old Fox's agreement without any hesitation. The specific reason was already mentioned before. This could be called Giant Deer City's last chance. If they killed the 3 Demon Commander level demon beasts in the beast tide outside the city, the disaster could still be averted. Otherwise, this great city that had stood in the abyss for tens of millions of years would become ruins, never to exist again. City Lord Mansion, Merry Forest, Thousand Eye Hall, 3 Life Pavilion. The 4 top influences of Giant Deer City began to move. They gathered all the top forces they could summon. A total of 40 fully armed demon generals would follow them out of the city and slaughter their way into the beast tide. Everyone, the life or death of Giant Deer City rests in my hands. Let's go! The Blackpool City Lord's roar exploded in the air. Shadowless Demon took a step back and vanished from sight. He would use his super-strong concealment abilities to act as the eyes of Giant Deer City's strongest hunting squad. He would lock onto the position of the 3 Demon Commander level demon beasts and capture them all in one fell swoop. As the last mass of demonic energy vanished, Old Fox turned to the side and looked at the gloomy Ian Hanshin. Before the final news is sent back, you and I will be responsible for mobilizing the remaining forces of Giant Deer City to resist the impact of the beast tide. Don't worry, I will not allow the 3 Life Pavilion Branch Division to be destroyed here. Ian Hanshin turned and left. But at this time, Old Fox did notice a sharp light flashing in the depths of his eyes. In his heart, the 3 Life Pavilion Branch Division did indeed have a supreme position. This was because this was Ian Hanshin's final achievement after struggling his entire life. But if he could obtain something more valuable than the 3 Life Pavilion Branch Division, then abandoning it wasn't impossible. After all, everything in this world had a value. The only difference was whether it was high or low. If there were enough benefits, then all exchanges and abandonments were logical. Right now, the massive Giant Deer City was under the gaze of Ian Hanshin. Naturally, he also grasped unprecedented power and authority. With this power, before Giant Deer City was breached, there was almost nothing he couldn't do. Licking his lips, Ian Hanshin slowly said, "Then let me see just what secrets you are hiding. After all, there must be a reason for the beast tide to besiege Giant Deer City." Things went as smoothly as expected. Ian Hanshin, who was in charge of half of Julu City, quickly got the key information. Therefore, his gaze fell on the seemingly ordinary small courtyard near the city Lord's mansion. Old Fox was still in Giant Deer City. Once he noticed Ian Hanshin's actions, he would definitely appear to stop him. Thus, if he wanted to make a move, he had to be fast. He absolutely couldn't give Ian Hanshin any time to react. A final trace of hesitation flashed in his heart. A cold light flashed in Ian Hanshin's eyes. Wealth came from danger. Since he had discovered this secret, how could he be willing to pretend he didn't know? And, more importantly, if He Tiangang gained power because of this, would he allow him to establish a foothold in Giant Deer City? In this world, there was no such thing as taking risks for no reason. Everyone was forced into a corner. "Do it," Ian Hanshin expressionlessly said. A squad of demon guards broke through the gates of the little courtyard, rushing in like wolves and tigers. Then there was nothing. Then there was a deathly silence. The surrounding demons that were attracted here all widened their eyes. And at the same time, everything that happened here was transmitted out at the fastest possible speed. Ian Hanshin's eyebrows rose up before he composed himself. Since he had made a move, he wouldn't hesitate at all. Old Fox would soon catch up, so he couldn't wait any longer. He took a deep breath and walked towards the wide, open courtyard. Then he saw Qin Yu standing in the courtyard, as well as the demon guards that had fallen to the ground. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. "Tell me everything you know, otherwise die," Ian Hanshin slowly said, his words filled with an icy chill. Time was of the essence, and he really didn't mind killing people. Qin Yu glanced at him. His eyes suddenly turned pitch black, like an endless abyss that couldn't be seen and could swallow everything. Old Fox arrived quickly, or more accurately, extremely quickly. After receiving the news, he nearly fell to the ground. Then he jumped several feet into the air and cursed. "Ian Hanshin, you bastard!" He didn't dare to imagine what would happen if Sir Wildfire was angered. Perhaps, even if Julu City could survive the beast tide, it would be burned to ashes in an instant under his wrath. When Old Fox, who was panting and covered in sweat, landed outside the small courtyard, it was very quiet. In his eyes, the little courtyard hadn't changed at all. It was as if someone had played a joke on him. But the courtyard doors that had been kicked to the ground, as well as the demon guards that had fallen to the ground, all reminded him not to be too optimistic. There was no time to think about it. Old Fox shouted, "Mr." After identifying himself, he hurried into the courtyard. In the next moment, his face revealed a trace of shock and fear. Ian Hanshin was standing in front of him, but he didn't respond at all to his arrival. In fact, it was impossible for him to respond at all. This was because at this moment his aura had completely vanished. He was like a statue. Qin Yu sat at the stone table, his eyes sweeping over him. Old Fox trembled and hurriedly bowed, his face pale. "Mister, I was negligent. I never thought that in the current situation, Ian Hanshin would dare to come to your residence and cause trouble. Because of this, I am willing to bear all the consequences. I ask that Mr. not be angry." Since things had already happened, it wasn't time to shirk responsibility. Taking the initiative to admit his mistakes was the correct choice. "It's nothing. It's just that I'll have to trouble Old Fox with these corpses." "Whew!" He let out a long breath. It was only now that he discovered that his back was soaked with a cold sweat. He respectfully bowed. Without letting anyone in, Old Fox personally moved out. He brought Ian Hanshin and all the demon corpses out, closed the courtyard doors, and closed them once more. When he turned around, he finally let out a breath of relief. He couldn't help but wipe the beads of sweat off his forehead. He Tiangang had once said that Sir Wildfire had the strength of a demon commander. At the time, this made Old Fox even more certain that Qin Yu was the Abyssal Walker. But after seeing everything today, Old Fox's understanding of Qin Yu underwent a heaven-shaking change. He was well aware of Ian Hanshin's strength. After all, when he fought with He Tiangang in the past, others might not know, but he did. By relying on the Three Lives Pavilion's secret treasure in addition to his formidable demonic snake bloodline, he was able to erupt with a strength that could contend with a demon commander. He Tiangang had paid a tremendous price, and his bloodline had continued to wither over the years. Even so, he was only able to blind Old Fox for a moment. But now there was no movement at all. Ian Hanshin broke into the small courtyard, but before he could do anything, his aura disappeared. This not only included his soul, but also his powerful demonic bloodline and the astonishing fluctuations it contained. Old Fox closed his eyes, his body shivering. He seemed to see the overbearing and confident Ian Hanshin step into the small courtyard not too long ago. Then he was casually glanced at by Sir Wildfire, who was sitting behind the stone table. Just this glance caused him to freeze in place. Then, all of his aura was instantly erased. Although Ian Hanshin wasn't a true demon commander, The state he was in when he broke into the small courtyard was enough to compare with a demon commander. In other words, Sir Lu Hua had easily killed an existence at the level of a demon commander. Was this a strength that a demon commander could possess? Haha. In the Abyss, there were some races with amazing bloodlines that could produce demon commanders that were known as the strongest beneath the Demon King level, possessing strength that could absolutely crush those of the same level. But for them to kill a demon commander with a single move and not even make the slightest reaction, this was simply impossible. Could it be that they had all been wrong from the start? That Sir Wildfire wasn't a demon commander, but a true Abyssal Demon King. Schwa. Old Fox opened his eyes and looked back at the small courtyard. His eyes were filled with endless awe and respect. The Abyssal King and Abyssal Walking had combined into one. If this was true, then perhaps the person he faced was one of the highest peak existences in the entire Abyss. There was even a chance that he could attack the legendary Abyss Master Realm, becoming a transcendent existence that stood above the Abyss. To appear beside such a great existence, even if he was destined to only be a passerby in his life, was still an honor. Chapter 1056. Just as Old Fox was feeling emotional, the top hunting team of Julu City had already secretly sneaked into the Beast Tide. Shadowless Demon's hiding ability was indeed very strong. He quickly locked onto the position of the 3 Demon Commander level demon beasts. They hid in the Beast Tide and planned to mobilize the Demon Beast army. Like a raging wave, they kept attacking. A golden-eyed demon python with a bulge on its head, 1,000 feet long body covered in black, iron-like scales. Its huge golden eyes flashed with a cold light of wisdom. A demon ape of unknown species. Its body could be big or small. After transforming, it was also 1,000 feet long body. Its strength was so strong that it could destroy mountains and rivers. The last demon commander-level demonic beast was a crow. That's right, putting aside the terrifying demonic aura that was so dense that it almost condensed into a substance. Its appearance was almost exactly the same as the crows in the living world. Golden-eyed demon python, demon ape, crow. These 3 were not related at all. They did not have any bloodline relationship. In the Hidden Beast Tide, they actually formed a perfect cooperation. There was no friction between them. This discovery actually made the shadowless demon feel uneasy. It was obvious that this was not something normal. Even if the 3 demon commander level demon beasts had high intelligence, since they had locked onto a certain treasure in Lu Hua's hand, it was impossible for them to maintain this kind of calm. Could they have agreed to break through Julu City first and then split the fruits? Or could they use their own methods to fight each other? He felt that there was more to it, but it was too late. The Beast Tide's attack was getting fiercer and fiercer. Julu City was struggling and could be broken through at any time. If they could not resolve the Beast Tide and disturb Lu Hua, then everything he had done would be meaningless. Taking a deep breath, Shadowless Demon suppressed the uneasiness in his heart. He gritted his teeth and crushed the communication magic crystal card. Kill! With a loud roar, Shadowless Demon attacked. Before this, he had already swallowed the super invincible energy pill that Old Fox gave him without hesitation. His ears buzzed and his mind went blank. The next moment, his heart in his chest started beating at an alarming speed, pushing the blood in his body to circulate crazily. An incomparably powerful force gushed out from his limbs. They roared and gathered together, wanting to destroy everything. The violent impulse burst out at that moment, almost destroying his mind. Shadowless Demon used all of his power to keep a trace of consciousness. His blood-red eyes were now locked onto the demon ape. As he punched out, the vast and mighty abyssal devil chi of the world instantly gathered, condensing into an incomparably terrifying giant arm that smashed down on the demon ape. Roar! The devilish ape's body was only the size of a human, but it suddenly let out a thunderous roar that erupted from its bulging chest. Billowing waves of sound billowed through the air, and its entire body began to swell up like a balloon. In the blink of an eye, it was over 1,000 feet tall. The terrifying demon commander level aura covered the sky and swept in all directions. Dong! With a loud bang, the 1,000-foot demonic ape's enormous body suddenly shrank. Its feet smashed into the ground, causing countless cracks to spread out in all directions like a spiderweb. Streams of black demon blood dripped down from its mouth and nose. Apparently, the shadowless demon, who had activated its potential after using the super invincible great strength pellet, had wounded it with this punch. Roar! The demonic ape angrily roared. Countless powerful demon beasts around felt its will and rushed over. Attack! Stop them! The 13 demon generals shot into the sky, each using their strongest moves. Their mission was to stop the demon beasts from approaching as much as possible and buy time for the shadowless demon. Endless power surged within its body, making the shadowless demon feel like its entire body was about to explode. The desire to vent and the ruthlessness that filled its heart overlapped together. It didn't pause at all as it punched out again. Rumble, rumble, a massive amount of abyssal devil chi crazily gathered. Following its will, it formed a new giant arm that pressed down on the demonic ape that had been smashed into the ground. Then there was another deafening explosion. The demonic ape's giant body was smashed into the ground again. It angrily roared again and again, but facing the shadowless demon in its current state, even though it was a powerful demon commander level demon beast, it was still suppressed. It lost the initiative and was caught off guard by the shadowless demon's sneak attack. It had no chance to regain the initiative, let alone counterattack. It could only passively endure the shadowless demon's crazy and violent attacks. For a time, the world seemed to be filled with countless bolts of thunder. Shockwaves swept through the surroundings and created a violent wind. The endless demonic chi that filled the abyss world condensed into giant arms that were as thick as a demon god's. As the saying goes, 1 man can defeat 10 men. Using this to describe the current situation was very appropriate. However, if one did not see it with their own eyes, practically no one would believe that a demon commander could suppress the demonic ape, which possessed a powerful demonic bloodline, to such an extent. At this time, the shadowless demon, who maintained a trace of consciousness, didn't lose his ability to think even though his mind was filled with ruthlessness and the desire to destroy. Although he knew that the Abyss Walker's attack would be extraordinary, the power of this invincible energy pill still far exceeded his expectations. This endless and unparalleled power had almost reached the limit of his body. Because of the countless treasures he had stolen, the shadowless demon's demonic body had been tempered to the level of a peak demon commander. In other words, what he was using now was the power of a peak demon commander. If he took another step forward, his bloodline would evolve and transform. He would then gain the recognition of the Abyss will and become one of the Abyss Kings. Sir Luhua's power was so strong. At this moment, the fire in the shadowless demon's heart could no longer be hidden. He started to believe without reason that as long as he could gain the recognition of Sir Luhua, with his help, he could definitely break through the limit and reach the Demon King level. However, the premise of all of this was that he had to complete the task that Sir Luhua had given him. The beast tide crisis of Julu City had to be resolved. Therefore, the demonic ape in front of him had to die. These thoughts were very complicated and slow to describe, but in reality, they had already passed in the shadowless demon's mind. Then the speed and power of his attacks were much scarier than before. Suddenly, an extremely violent roar exploded from the ground. The ground was directly shattered by the terrifying sound wave, forming a ring of mud and stones that rumbled into the distance. The shadowless demon shot out a circle and shattered the rushing mud and stones, but it was also interrupted. The rhythm of his continuous attacks was interrupted. The demonic ape finally had a chance to breathe. Its huge body jumped out of the ground and roared angrily at the sky. Its body grew even bigger than before. It reached a terrifying 150 feet. It was like a small mountain that was moving quickly. Every move it made gave off a power that made the world tremble. A cold purple light appeared in the depths of its bloody eyes. It was like some kind of transparent crystal that flashed with a cold, killing intent. The demonic ape lifted its hand and heavily hit its chest. It was like it was beating a giant leather drum. After a dong sound, a powerful sound wave swept across. The 13 demon generals grunted and their faces turned pale. Their bodies that were flying in the air fell to the ground one by one as if their wings had been broken. But this was only a small part of the shock wave. The shadowless demon, who bore the brunt of the attack, spat out a mouthful of blood. Countless wounds opened up on the surface of his body, and blood gushed out. But this situation only lasted for an instant. As his flesh tightened, all the wounds closed up and no more blood flowed out. At the same time, the power within the shadowless demon's body grew again. For a moment, the shadowless demon was pleasantly surprised. He didn't think that the super invincible great strength pill would have the effect of not dying in a bloody battle. Strictly speaking, not dying in a bloody battle was a passive attribute that many Abyss demon bloodlines had. When the Abyss demon race was injured, their bloodline would be stimulated and they would explode with even more power for a certain period of time. The more heavily injured they were, the stronger they would explode. Of course, there was a limit to this kind of increase. Once the injuries exceeded the limits of the Abyss demon bloodline, they would still die. Although the shadowless demon himself had the passive attribute of not dying in a bloody battle, his quality could only be considered average. But now, with the help of the super invincible great strength pill, he felt that all aspects of his strength had increased by several levels. This kind of increase could already compare to the top attribute of not dying in a bloody battle. But at the same time, Shadowless Demon also felt horrified because he clearly felt that his current body strength could no longer hold any more explosive power. If this went on, it wouldn't be long before his entire body exploded into countless pieces with a bang. Luckily, the Shadowless Demon's horrified scene didn't really happen. Just as he broke through his limit, the power in his body stopped increasing. Not daring to hesitate, the Shadowless Demon punched out. He had to vent the terrifying power in his body as soon as possible. Rumble, rumble. Like countless thunderclaps, roiling Abyss demon energy gathered from all directions. The amount was far greater than before. An incomparably large phantom of an ancient demon god appeared. It did the same thing as the Shadowless Demon, raising its hand and punching out. The demon ape's pupils violently shrank. Its icy purple eyes were filled with shock. Clearly, it didn't think that a mere demon general could explode with such terrifying power. With a low roar, it punched out, clashing with the demon god's phantom. With a loud explosion, the demon ape's 150 feet large body was sent flying. He could clearly hear the sound of its arm bones, which were as thick and hard as steel, breaking one by one. With a pained roar, the demon ape's body smashed into the ground, turning a group of demon beasts that couldn't dodge in time into meat paste. It flipped up, but this time it didn't continue attacking the Shadowless Demon. Instead, it turned around and rushed into the distance. At the same time, it let out a roar. The sound wave spread out, and countless demon beasts madly gathered in this direction. This incomparably powerful and intelligent general demon beast had actually escaped. The Shadowless Demon stomped down heavily, and its figure shot into the sky. It was so fast that it was like a shadow as it madly chased after it. Wherever it passed, the bodies of countless demon beasts in the air were torn into pieces. Smelly black beast blood splattered everywhere like it was raining. The expressions of the 13 pale and injured demon generals changed at the same time. One of the demon generals roared, "Take the potion and follow Lord Shadowless Demon." If they were the only ones left in this endless beast tide, even if they could hold on for a while, they would eventually be surrounded and killed. They all knew where the Shadowless Demon came from. At a time like this, he wouldn't care about their lives. After swallowing the unrivaled great strength pills, the auras of the 13 demon generals immediately soared. They formed a charging battle formation and started running on the ground. The sand they stirred up was like a thick earth dragon, roaring as it chased after the demonic ape. At the same time, the demon beast that the Blackpool City Lord and He Tiangang were attacking also made a move to escape at almost the same time. The 100-jong tall golden-eyed demon snake's thick tail moved quickly, propelling its body forward on the ground with a rumble. Even if there was a mountain in front of it, it would be smashed into pieces without hesitation. Above the Blackpool City Lord's head, endless abyss demon energy gathered, and a faint image of a giant python appeared. It stared at the escaping golden-eyed demon snake, its giant eyes flashing with greed, gathering abyss demon energy to form a life demon seed. This was a powerful ability that only the Abyss Demon King could have. Although the giant python image of the Blackpool City Lord could only be seen as the outline of a life demon seed, it was still miles away from being truly formed. But no matter what, this was already a powerful power that surpassed the limits of a demon general. With the help of the super invincible strength pill, he could actually explode with such a powerful strength. It could be seen that even though the Blackpool City Lord's strength had not reached the peak of the demon general, it was not far from it. To be able to obtain the recognition of the King of the Abyss level, become the City Lord of Julu City, and rule over a large area of the Abyss, his strength was well deserved. As for He Tiangang, the strength he had exploded with was beyond everyone's imagination. An incomparably huge, three-headed, ferocious infernal hound illusion suddenly appeared above his head. The 3 heads continuously raised their heads to the sky and let out a soundless roar. Its violent aura even caused instinctive fear to appear in the eyes of the violent and brainless demon beasts in the beast tide. Even though the crow continuously screeched and urged them to, they only followed a certain distance away, not daring to actually stop him from chasing. The heads of the 3-headed demon hound kept popping out, opening their mouths to bite at the rapidly escaping crow. There were several times where it was almost bitten. If that really happened, it could be foreseen that this demon general level demon beast crow would be torn to pieces in the blink of an eye. Outside Julu City, within the vast beast tide, the 3 demon general level demon beasts were all beaten up and forced to flee pathetically. But if someone stood in the sky and looked down at the entire beast tide, they would discover that 3 arrowheads were rapidly converging towards a single point. This beast tide had swept through the abyss ahead of time due to the interference of the will of the abyss. The 3 demon beasts outside Julu City had come to kill Teacher Liao, so how could they be so easily dealt with? If Qin Yu saw this scene, he would definitely roar out loud and have the 3 demon generals of Julu City kill them as soon as possible at all costs. Otherwise, an unforeseen event would happen very soon. But unfortunately, Qin Yu was not here. Or, to put it more bluntly, even if he was here, he wouldn't be able to change anything. Because the will of the abyss was something that no abyssal creature could resist. This was something that was branded into their lives from the day they were born. Something that could not be changed. Chapter 1057. The demonic power in shadowless demon's body surged, drawing an endless abyss demon energy that surrounded his body. Like countless blades, it sliced through all the demon beasts that tried to stop him into countless pieces. Wherever he passed, more than 100,000 demon beasts were killed. Black blood sprayed everywhere, and the stench rushed into the sky. Locking onto the escaping demon ape, shadowless demon's blood-red eyes flashed with a trace of uneasiness. This demon ape wasn't really trying to escape. Otherwise, with its intelligence, it would know that it had to leave Julu City if it wanted to live. But now, the demon ape was still moving within a certain distance from Julu City. It didn't have any intention of leaving. Suddenly, the figures of the other 2 demon general demon beasts popped up in his mind. Shadowless demon's heart skipped a beat, and a chill came from the bottom of his heart. But at this moment, before he could think more, Two extremely strong demonic power fluctuations appeared in his senses. Raising his head, Shadowless Demon saw two giant beast phantoms coming from two directions in the distance. Life Demon Seed. Shadowless Demon exclaimed. He had already seen Blackpool City Master and Hei Tiangang, who were chasing below the giant python and the three-headed demon hound. Being recognized by the King of the Abyss and becoming the city master of Julu City, Blackpool's strength was understandable. But the power that Hei Tiangang displayed now was far beyond Shadowless Demon's expectations. At this moment, the aura that he released was not any weaker than Blackpool's. In fact, it was even slightly suppressed. After all, the three-headed demon hound was an extremely powerful demon seed bloodline in many of the Abyss royal families. But this slight tremble only lasted for a very short time. Shadowless Demon forced himself to focus on the three general demon beasts. Thinking back to before when they were all in the beast horde, they worked together perfectly without any conflict. Now that they were being chased by three people, they didn't choose to escape, but instead gathered together. Shadowless Demon didn't think that this was brotherly love, but asking to live and die together. There was a problem. There must be a problem. You too attack at all costs. We can't let them gather together. While roaring, Shadowless Demon took a deep breath and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face instantly turned pale and his eyes dimmed. After the mouthful of blood left his body, it floated in the air and gathered into a ball the size of a fist. Then, it continued to fly forward with him. He raised his hand and pointed at the fist-sized blood orb. A bloody light burst out from it and formed a shadow that looked exactly like the Shadowless Demon. Bang! The illusory figure suddenly burst into flames. Blood-colored flames enveloped it, and its speed increased dramatically. In the blink of an eye, it had caught up to the devil ape. The illusory figure rapidly expanded, and in the blink of an eye, it was more than 300 meters tall. It was about to hug the devil ape. At the same time, the aura released by the phantom became extremely violent, filled with a destructive aura. Roar! The demon ape roared towards the sky. Its giant body stopped abruptly as it turned around to look at Shadowless Demon. A trace of cold mockery flashed through its cold purple eyes. In the next moment, the demonic ape self-destructed, and the terrifying power tore the nearby phantoms into pieces. Shadowless Demon staggered, as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He opened his mouth and spat out several mouthfuls of blood, mixed with bits and pieces of organs. He stubbornly stared at the spot where the demon ape self-destructed. The blood and flesh that filled the air didn't scatter in the slightest. Instead, it gathered into a torrent of flesh and blood that shot towards the golden-eyed demon snake. The golden-eyed demon snake opened its mouth and swallowed everything. Roar! After the golden-eyed demon snake swallowed the demon ape, its astonishing body that was more than 1,000 feet long began to wildly expand. Layers upon layers of its snakeskin were torn apart, revealing scarlet flesh and blood that rapidly healed in the next moment. In the blink of an eye, it was more than 3,000 feet long. Its aura rose to an unimaginable degree, nearly touching upon the limits of a demon commander-level demon beast. Its giant tail swept across fiercely, and with a loud bang, the master of Black Swamp City was sent flying. The eyes of the giant python above his head were filled with fear. It was obvious that the power of the golden-eyed magic snake had made it feel threatened. But this wasn't the end. After the golden-eyed demon snake forced back the Black Swamp City lord with its giant tail, it suddenly opened its mouth and sucked in. The target it swallowed wasn't any of the 3 demon commanders, but rather the demon commander level crow that was being chased by the 3-headed demon hound. Facing the golden-eyed demon snake's attempt to swallow it, the crow's wings flapped. It didn't resist at all, instead flying towards its mouth on its own initiative. Borrowing the strength of its swallowing ability, in addition to its own initiative, it instantly escaped from the 3-headed demon hound's pursuit. Roar! The golden-eyed demon snake roared once more. After swallowing the crow, its body began to expand a second time. It surpassed 5,000 feet and was as thick as an ancient tree. The pitch-black scales that covered its body began to fall off piece by piece. It was clear that it couldn't withstand the wild increase in strength within its body. Then new scales began to grow. At first glance, they didn't seem any different from before, but if one looked closely, they would discover that the surface of these new scales was covered in a layer of exquisite markings that seemed to be formed during forging. Layer upon layer, these markings revealed endless mysteries. It even gave one the illusion that looking at the markings on these scales was like looking at the endless abyss. The will of the abyss. He Tiangang shouted out loud. His pupils violently shrank as shock and horror filled his face. As the Black Marsh City Lord and Shadowless Demon heard this, their hearts also sank as a faint fear rose in their hearts. Before, it had already been mentioned that, strictly speaking, the endless number of demon beasts were the true masters of the abyss. They naturally enjoyed the same treatment as the demon race. In other words, when their strength rose to the limit, they could also obtain the recognition of the abyss and become a demon beast king. Moreover, in comparison to the demon race, demon beasts that were recognized by the abyss and became demon beast kings would be able to suppress the backlash of their demonic bloodline under the support of the abyss. They would be able to recover their consciousness and possess intelligence no less than that of the demon race. After the golden-eyed demon snake had swallowed the demon ape and crow, two demon commander-level demon beasts, its strength had rapidly risen. It had already broken through the limits of a demon commander-level demon beast. Thus, it was able to obtain the support of the abyss and condense the markings on its scales. These markings contain the might of the abyss's will. It wasn't just for appearance. Compared to before, its defensive strength had increased by at least 10 times. Strictly speaking, this was already a power that only demon beast kings could possess. But in reality, the Black Marsh City Lord, He Tiangang, and Shadowless Demon had underestimated the strength of the golden-eyed demon snake in front of them. Or rather, they didn't know just how strong the will of the abyss desire to destroy Liaoshi was. The golden-eyed demon snake that possessed the might of a demon beast king was already terrifyingly strong. But this wasn't enough. Under the interference of the abyss will, everything had to be perfect, leaving no flaws behind. Thus, the golden-eyed demon snake suddenly let out a pained roar. Its massive body rolled on the ground. But amidst this pained roar, one could clearly feel the excitement and joy that came from the bottom of its heart. A violent roar came from the golden-eyed demon snake's body. It gave off a feeling like a surging river. Its aura was vast and shocking. At the same time, a second pupil appeared in its eyes that seemed to be cast from pure gold. It was pitch black in color and directly overlapped with the original pupil, giving off a feeling of endless majesty. Roar! The golden-eyed demon snake roared in pain. At the same time, the roar that sounded like a surging river reached its strongest point. With a ripping sound, the flesh on its abdomen was torn apart, for thick claws wrapped in mucus drilled out. A bulge also appeared on its head. After it broke, 2 sharp horns emerged, transforming into a dragon. The Black Marsh City Lord's voice trembled. The demon dragon race had a lustful nature. Almost all of the snake-type demon beasts in the abyss had the demon dragon bloodline flowing through their veins. Of course, besides some powerful flood dragons, the demon dragon bloodline in these snake-type demon beasts was dormant. Besides some extremely rare and unexpected situations, there was no day that it would be activated, but now they had clearly encountered such an extremely rare event. After the golden-eyed demon snake obtained the attention of the abyss, the demon dragon bloodline in its body awakened, pushing it to transform into a dragon. Now, more accurately, it was more appropriate to call it an abyssal demon dragon. Roar! The newborn abyssal demon dragon roared into the sky. The dragon's roar reverberated through the world, causing the endless abyssal demonic energy to boil. The demon dragon race was known as the favored child of the abyss. They were born with the attention of the abyss, and when they grew up, they would be recognized by the abyss. They had strength comparable to the king of the abyss, and their every action could mobilize a massive amount of abyssal demonic energy. Although it had just transformed into a dragon and could barely be considered a child of the demon dragon race, the aura it released was several times stronger than before. The demon dragon was a demon dragon. Even though it was in its newborn stage, it was above all other races in the abyss. The powerful pressure from its superior bloodline instantly swept through the entire beast tide. Tens of millions of demon beasts, no matter how strong or weak, felt an instinctive fear and trembling. They crawled on the ground and shivered, expressing their awe and fear. The python phantom above the Black Marsh City Lord's head shrank into a ball. It looked at the abyssal demon dragon, its body shivering. When snake-type demon beasts faced an abyssal demon dragon, they would naturally be suppressed. At such a close distance, it was already not easy for them to maintain their form without collapsing. Of course, even so, with the strength of the Black Marsh City Lord, when facing this abyssal demon dragon, he would be at least halved, perhaps even more miserable. You lowly ants, you dare to try to harm someone as great as me? You will not be forgiven. The abyssal demon dragon, whose body had expanded to more than 10,000 feet, let out a thunderous roar. Along with the roar, the air vibrated. Countless abyssal demonic energy condensed in the air, forming a pitch-black mist that lifted the abyssal demon dragon into the air. The dragon's body was hidden within, faintly discernible, but everyone could clearly feel the monstrous killing intent released by the abyssal demon dragon. Hey, Tiangang took a deep breath. The fear in his eyes rapidly disappeared. In the blink of an eye, all that was left was endless cruelty and destruction. The abyssal demon dragon will take revenge. You and I almost killed it. This is an irreconcilable hatred. If we don't kill it today, we will all die.